Actually, before I like this back, I'll say this online because it's cooler and everything. All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? Gonna be Donnie coming to you from a South Japan Pinku Style podcast. Back with my guy Matt again. You guys have seen Matt a long time ago. I pulled some quick stats up. This is 95 episodes ago and 2 years ago. So this is the last time I talked to Matt, episode number 53. And Matt,
wow.
it's a lot has changed in the background here. Yeah, man, it's been crazy, man. So this, Matt, again, thank you for your time, and it's been a bunch. I know a lot has happened on your end, in between all the I don't want to say it in the first few minutes, but the sickness, we'll just call it the sickness over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So, man, how's everything been for you, man? And since we talked last, man, I know we got a lot of catching up to do, but how's everything been overall in general for you, man?
Yeah, good. Like, obviously the world went a bit weird, but since that, I've put a lot of time into myself and like the way I'm conducting myself and the things I'm doing with my time, and yeah, it's been really productive. I feel like I'm achieving things and moving on, and I can't believe it's been 95 episodes since I was last. That's a lot, dude. You've been busy. Like,
but it's crazy, 95 episodes, but it's been like I haven't been like I think we talked a little bit before, man. I'm not really trying to like, get to 5,000 episodes inside of a certain amount of time. So I kind of been selective, actually on who I'm getting on, man, because it's just I've found out like kind of going like asking everybody, and when in the beginning I was saying anybody can get on and stuff like that. It was sending mixed messages, kind of, I guess, lowering the value, I guess, if you want to say that. And also, when I get guys on here, I had some random guys on, and, they were cool, but they didn't have nothing to promote. They didn't have any cool messages. So I was like, all right, man, let me dial it back and, make it kind of exclusive.
but I guess that's the journey, though, isn't it? You like the journey, like your channel, I think, and what you're doing is more about your like experience of all these people and your journey through that and your learning from it than it is just necessarily about like which name you can put on the title, you know?
Exactly, man. And that's kind of my thing. Again, is I said in the first 100 episodes, I kind of want to get. I wanted to have on a podcast people who like kind of put me in the positions to like do what I'm doing now, and unfortunately some of those people like they don't want nothing to do with online YouTube, and they're not good with cameras, or they're just extremely busy. So I was like, all right, screw that idea, and I just started talking to I've had like drifters on, financial dudes, stunt guys. I just had a director on for a live phone, cinematographer. And man. So for me, it's just everybody in my spectrum that interests me, man. And like I said before, offline, man, I was like, dude, you came on the scene, and I definitely took some things that you said. Like one thing you were saying, hey, man, you should have different, since you have multiple videos, you have like maybe a red slash or whatever, and I did that to maybe you didn't notice it, but I have different, like for the podcast, they're like yellow highlight, and then I have like a blue highlight and whatever, so forth and so forth, man. So I definitely took.
So it's easy to skip through them then and see what like the content you actually want to watch,
right, man. So and I picked it up from your channel, man, and then like I was man, I was one of the dudes who were like looking for stuff to come up, man. So I guess right at the top, man, like what happened to your channel, man?
So we did 19 episodes. Myself, there was another guy called Ben who was like more the kind of managerial, directorial type role, and then Charlie who was doing filming and editing. So a lot of it I filmed myself, and then a lot of it Charlie filmed as on top. So like the live action stuff, and anything that was like outside of the studio was Charlie basically. And he's just like broadcast quality, man. He's really, really good at what he does. And then what I would do is I would edit stuff, and then he would go over it and refine it. And then, there's sort of a bit of a process there, but it was very like long-winded and complicated. And because of the nature of the information in the videos, like the technique video, I mean, it's done a lot of views, but I should have split that video down because it's too much all in one go. But the trouble with it is I'm trying to make things that are actually really useful, which means they have to be let's say like 99% like factually correct.
Right.
Because it's always going to be some dumb thing. Like, I'm not a native Japanese speaker, so maybe like one of the translations that I come up with it could be better, things like that. But because of that, it meant that the time that we had to dedicate to it was a lot. So, Charlie normally, like, those guys as a crew would charge £1,000 or more each video, right, at least, right? And we've done 19 of them, so that's a huge investment on their part. And then obviously with the time I was putting into it as well, and I was getting busier and busier with like things outside of drifting. So it just meant that every time we were doing something, the actual amount of time that we'd have was just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And it got to the point where they couldn't afford to continue with it, and I couldn't afford to fund it. So we just kind of like had to stop, really. I still have, like, I still got the equipment and everything. So I think maybe I'll start doing something again. I keep threatening to do it, but if I do things, I want them to be useful and not just throwaway videos. Because there's a lot of YouTubers out there that make, they make a video every week.
Yeah.
Or there's guys out there like I don't know, like I guess I don't know whether the two of them would like being compared, but it's the difference between like a Summit video and a Noriyaro video. Like Alexi's videos, they're not as frequent, but the content there's a lot of depth to it, He really knows what he's talking about and he loves it. And then Sammit's like just kind of like punting videos out to get the numbers. He's following the algorithm, like he's doing what he's meant to do, So like I think there's a balance somewhere between there where I could make semi-regular videos and retain them being useful. So in the sense of like I sort of got a bit lost in my words then. Like a Noriyaro video, you go back to it multiple times because you remember the video. Like the Sanpatsu video he did at Scuba. Super cool video. I've watched that like a million times and I go back to it because I want to watch some technique or see a particular car and I remember them. Whereas like Samet stuff, because there's so much of it, like it turns into, really, right. Even though that what he's doing, like going to Yashio and hanging out with Okachan and stuff like that, I have a lot of time for that. So yeah, I guess I don't know what, I don't want to do the daily thing, and I kind of want to do something more like Alexi, but with the whatever's in my head.
Yeah. If you've been watching Pinku Style for a bunch on YouTube, I've been in Japan for about 16 years. One of the most challenging things when you come to a foreign country is getting control somehow on a local language. That way you can communicate effectively, make more money, do business, and all that stuff like that. When you go to a Japanese, speak to Japanese, you don't read the book. You speak to a person face to face. It's going to be Japan Language Factory, JLF. Run by Terumi Kai. I've been partnered with Terumi Kai for about now 2 months. If you want to go ahead and learn Japanese, definitely get over to JapanLanguageFactory.com. Check out the site, see what they got to offer. You'll get a free consultation when you sign up, and after that, you can kind of determine your program and things like that. If the programming course is 2 months, and what you're going to do is you're going to learn how to effectively communicate using the things that you like to do. For example, if you're into cars, they can talk about cars. If you're into bowling, they can talk about bowling and center your lessons around stuff that you're interested in versus trying to learn about, let's say, banking if you're not into banking. Right? So there's about 2,000 Japanese letters. There's over 500,000 Japanese words and phrases. And if you try to learn all of them at the same time, you're going to spin your wheels. And at the same time, you guys know out there are kids, when kids grow up, they speak Japanese. They don't go to school. They just speak Japanese naturally from what they hear. So it is possible for us out there to learn different phrases, learn Japanese properly, and apply yourselves in a fashion that you're actually going to learn Japanese the way you want to learn Japanese. So again, that's going to be JLF. Check them out. You're going to enter code Pinku Style JLF. That's again Pinku Style JLF when you sign up, and that will help out the podcast, and that will actually get you learning Japanese quicker. So again, check out JapanLanguageFactor.com. Terumi Kai, and you guys will be learning Japanese in no time. Peace. I agree wholeheartedly with it, and that's one of the things I actually was talking to a buddy of mine not too long ago. He was saying, hey man, you should put up, he's noticed I started putting out smaller videos is because dude, I'm not gonna waste time to make a 20, and that's 20 a lot now for a lot of the young guys. The solid 10 to 15 or even less than that. It's like the guys' attention span. And I was like, dude, I put all this time into this video and, blah, blah, blah. And the guys don't really gravitate towards it. So I was like, dude, I'm going to post when there's something that's worthwhile posting. And that's just the way I think about it. And like you said, it's not, I understand 100% what you're saying about Sammy's videos. Is he's like the LZs and all those guys, they put out so many videos, and I'll find myself like, running that stuff in the background, but it just it doesn't have any kind of order. And it's just, it kind of plays towards the younger guys. If you look at their demographics, they're like, 9 to 15-year-olds. And it's a lot of them out there, and they have a lot more free time than us guys that are 30 plus. So you'll see those guys watching, and they want that stuff every day. So I mean, and I'm not, I don't want to, guys will say, "Oh, I'm like, dude, nobody's hating on anybody. We're not doing that here. It's just they're doing a different thing. We're older dudes, and It's just not. I got a business and a family, and it's just not. You gotta pick your poisons, man. And what you just said with your guys. With the funding and stuff like that, and the quality. That's why the content was so good. And I didn't know. I knew there was money, being changing hands, man. But your quality was right off the.
No. We worked together.
Okay.
Like it was a project of love. So
got you.
Those guys deserve as much credit for its existence as I do. I just happened to be the guy in front of the camera.
No, but it was great. It was like one of those things where I'm like, if I was a jealous dude, I'd be like, fuck, man. My channel started October 1, 2006. I remember that date, like weird odd dates, and I would upload videos here and there. And for the first 8 years of my channel, you never see my face. It was just videos. Then remember that time where Vimeo came out and Will Rogue and all those guys doing the slow motion drifts and all those videos for that one couple summers. And I was like, I got into that. Yeah. And it was like, dude, this is okay. They're sideways. I got out of that.
Yeah. So I actually started vlogging in Japan in like 2008.
Yeah.
And I did videos that were a bit more like Alexi's. I did a few, and I put them on Vimeo. And I swear, if I'd put them on YouTube, I would have been a rich man by now. Like
Vimeo,
like really.
Yeah, Vimeo. I didn't. I've seen it. I made an account, but I was like, dude, this is. YouTube was not HD yet, because the big thing, of course, Vimeo was the first to have HD, and then
that's why I put them on there. Yeah, I was like, this is the future.
Yeah, and the same thing, Will Rogue and all those guys. I remember there's videos being there, but I was like, dude, I've seen some writing, and I'm like, I think I put a couple videos on there, but I'm like, I didn't want to go back and forth, and this was before there was a quick cool share. Like now you post on Instagram and you can share to everything one sitting. And so I never went there, and I just, and then the Vimeo just kind of, I see it's still up, but it just kind of didn't really get that. It didn't.
It's not got the same traction.
Right.
It's more of a
creator.
It's like a creator's space, isn't it? Where people who are a bit more artistic or inventive sort of tend to be, whereas YouTube is just just a slab of entertainment.
Yeah, man. But no,
going back to what you were saying though, like the whole short sort of attention span. It's like the whole sort of TikTok generation. And, so my viewership predominantly is like 25 to 35 in that age range, where I think those people and the people that are being more attracted to what you're doing are more capable of spending money on what they're doing, and competent enough to do the work themselves as well. So they can take something away from like my channel if I'm showing them technique or how to fit something or whatever, things like that. There's value there to that core of people, where I think a lot of like the TikTok stuff and the younger people doing drifting, a lot of those people, not all of them, I don't want to put it out there like that, but it can be more of a flex than it is a passion.
That and like just little cool thing, this right here has saved me a lot of time in editing. So I have XSplit. I've been using it for a long time, but they get some updates and like so now all my videos and everything is all like embedded all. So I don't gotta go get clips. I can go on Google and all that stuff. So I just pull it up right there. But yeah, like you said, man, we'll definitely talk about this video, but the you know, man, I call it like a Sid, dude. I've been in the game for a good amount of time. I've accomplished a bunch. I'm comfortable with myself. But now it's just all about how many followers you have now and all that stuff now, and it's a different kind of game now. And I see unfortunately a lot of the older dudes that are our age, tongue twister, that it's not that they shouldn't like, you know, take congratulations from a younger dude, but it's like, dude, like you've been alive longer than this guy, a lot longer, and you're acting like, you know, he's the bigger guy in the game, when actually if you look back, like, you're a shop owner, this, but they see the numbers. And I've seen also where that doesn't equate into like the other guy doing well. I've seen a lot of guys do collaborations and it doesn't really like you get those 2 million views because they're here for LZ. They're not here for LZ and his mechanic buddy in the background. And you've seen before where guys go from the bigger channels and try to start their own, and because they say, "Oh, I'm the mechanic for this guy," or "I'm the guy for this guy," and they start their channel and they get no views. It's like there's a chemistry, and me and Lex talked about it on my podcast before. There's a chemistry where you fit into LZ's videos and people like you there, but you start your own thing. Is like LZ's not present. Just using LZ as example, I met him in person. So
nobody's interested, yeah.
Right? So it's just the whole thing, man. I just think both of us, I can speak for you that we're kind of above that, beyond like trying to, you know. I don't think you live your life by likes. I definitely don't. And
no.
You know, we're comfortable, but at the same time, though, you like I said, you definitely have to do something, man, because people are waiting for it. I was talking about it with a buddy of mine, and you got your channel. It was right. I guess were you during the pandemic or just before the pandemic? You launched your channel.
Just as it was kind of starting, really.
It was,
which was super annoying because it just meant
a
lot of the videos were because I was just sitting in my office, not doing a lot.
It was just the timing, man. The timing was great, and it was the timing, and then the quality of the production. And now what you said in the beginning, it definitely makes sense that it definitely wasn't like, you know, made on your phone and put up and everything. And it was just man, the comments were there, and it was good. And then shortly after that, man, I want to talk about like the whole sweepstakes with what car did you win, man? So you won.
So I won a Lamborghini.
And you still have it, or did you sell it?
No, I went and like filmed it for the YouTube video.
Yeah.
But man, I got no business owning a Lamborghini. Like that's,
dude, that's
like, it was cool. But I feel like, so I'm really fortunate anyway. Yeah.
Right.
So I've got like a sick, like, you know, PS13 outside. I've got an S15. I still got my GT86. We still got a AE86, like, knocking around. Like, so I have some seriously cool cars.
Yeah.
They're all in various states of disrepair. So, you know, it's not like I can just pick which one I want to drive every day. But so I'm like really fortunate anyway. And I went and got in the Lamborghini, and at the time I had my S15. That car was a pain in the ass. But I kind of started driving it around, and I had quite a nice BMW before that, like a 435i. You know, like, it was tuned. It was really fast, crazy grip. But the Lamborghini felt the exact same. Like, it didn't feel like this crazy visceral experience. Like, we went out in a McLaren on the same day, and the McLaren felt, you know, when you get in a like, I can only rate the drift cars really, but when you get in a drift car that's just got like serious mechanical grip, you can feel like, you can feel the tires, you can feel, it felt like that. I was like, holy, like, that was impressive. I was like, man, I wish I'd won the McLaren. Then I'd be like, then I'd be thinking about what else I could sell to afford to keep it. But the Lamborghini felt very it didn't feel sterile. That's a bad word. So it felt clinical, I would say, is probably a correct word. And I felt like the car was intervening a lot, which I guess it has to for people that buy those. Maybe like, they've never been sideways in their life, and that car with no traction or whatever it's going to be a handful. So it feels very governed. And I just didn't like that. So the way I'd liken it is that the S15 or my Sylvia, like my PS now, I really love it. So that car is for me and like the experience I have in the car, and the Lamborghini was for everybody else that was looking from the outside. Like it didn't really, like when you're in it, it's like, cool, it's special. And then you drive anything for an hour and it's like, after the first hour, it starts becoming normal to some extent. And then a couple of weeks, it's normal. But my Sylvia, every time I get in it and fire it up, it's like, is this thing going to try and kill me today? And I just vibe with that more.
Yeah, like I said, I remember it came up and everything, and then I just didn't see you post about it. And again, I don't really like stalk anybody's page, man. But it just kind of again, man. We had a good conversation in the first podcast, man. I got to learn about you, man, and right there, man, it's for me. It just further enhanced my idea that I had of you, man, because so many people out there be so tied to that car, like they need that car to be them, and for you to be like, whatever, dude, I can get rid of this and redistribute the funds better and do different things, man. Like that definitely, because come on, dude, I know there's a lot of guys out there that would not give up a Lamborghini, man. Like that car is going.
The guys were pissed at me because they were like, "Oh, the YouTube numbers you can get with that," and I was like,
"Yeah, exactly." Exactly, dude.
I think that's partially a problem with like YouTube now is like everything is governed by all these numbers and not by authenticity. And like, so the numbers on my channel, like I think it's at like 7,000 or 8,000 subs or something now, which is, I know a lot of people really struggle to achieve anything like that. So I'm really proud that we managed to attract that many people to being interested in something that's so niche,
right?
So but I think part of that is because, like you say, like I'm just not on that kind of like chasing numbers path. And once you go down that path, if that path fails, that's really like, it can make or break people in themselves. And like that's one thing I struggled a lot with in the last couple of years, actually, is I crashed pretty good at so I did do the British Drift Championship, and literally my return to the championship after like 10 years away, and literally the first lap out, like, so I had like, I think what it was is an ECCS wire fault where the wire had like rusted inside the casing. And I think possibly what happened is as I went to flick in, like the car just cut out for just a second, and then I had no, and off I went. And it was like, oh no, that's the weird thing is my initial reaction in the car was like, I started laughing at myself. Like I was like, oh, you dick, like, what'd you do that for? But the backlash online, like there was like a meme of that. And I know like people don't mean bad by it. Some do. Like there's always a small contingent of people that suck. But like, because it got so many shares and I felt embarrassed by it, like that really weighed on me quite heavily, like, and had a significant effect on like how I was feeling about myself. And I tried to continue through that year. I went out and I completed the next run, so I was like, come on, like I'm doing my best here,
right?
But yeah, I guess because of that, it like that knocked me back as well, because I was like, man, what do I want to do all this like being in the limelight, like public stuff for, like, anyway, it's like if people just react that way. But I guess
with that stuff, man, like it's we were I can say talking, we weren't talking about Matt, but we were just having a conversation, and I talked to Matt, and everything. And I had to, after his FD thing, I didn't want to message him like the first day. I let 2 days pass, and I messaged him like, dude, how you doing? Because I knew he was and also I'm just running this BDC in the background, man. Were you pro? Is it so? Is this pro? So this is.
That's pro. Is that Dwayne McKeever? That's from a couple of years ago. Oh no, that's Matt House.
Yeah, I can't. I was trying to get up there and everything. But which one did you do? The Driftland event.
Round 2.
Round 2.
Yeah, round 2.
Yeah.
This one, it'll be on here somewhere.
I'll just let it run. It'll pop up and everything. But what I was saying, man,
Mac will be happy. Mac's the owner,
okay.
So
awesome.
I'll tag him.
Yeah. He came. Number one, kudos for him to come to Japan. I told him what to expect and everything, and lined him up with some good people and everything. And he was, got right into Matsuri, right into track days, and I was like, man, I'll let him experience it and everything, because what happens again, Matt, I know everybody who's been here, they have this idea that it's easier, and it's not. It's not easier being here in Japan. Case in point, real life story. Just 10 minutes ago, actually, I'm surprised I'm in this good of a mood. I thought I had planned my input shaft bearing. I took the trans down. Never experienced this in my life, dude. I've done literally thousands of clutch jobs. Brand new bolts and everything, dude. I don't know what happened with this particular clutch kit I used, but there was massive movement. And three out of the 6 bolts are stripped, and I have to sort that within the next 24 hours, man, or I'm gonna have to pull the engine out, crank out, and I got major shit to do in the next 72 hours, man. And but
on the flywheel, you mean?
Yeah, on the fly, dude. I've never in it, dude. Everything, the bolts were like tightened in there, but like the fucking clutch can move. It was moving, and yeah, dude. I've never experienced. The bolts are standard 040 bolts. Yeah, dude. The block was a RB25, RB26, R34 GTR bottom end. Not sure if that had anything to do with it, because it normally uses the Getrek bolts and stuff like that, but the crank should be the same. But if not, that was a big learning course on my part. And yeah, dude, I literally just discovered it about 25 minutes ago, right before we got on. And it was like, like 10 years ago, man, I would have been like, fuck, man, because I do want to go to this event. But if I don't sort this issue in 72 hours, I got to get out of here by the 4th of August. I'll just call them, and I'm not going to. Years ago, I would push just to get down there and Shiga, Osaka, just to show face. That's a lot of fuel. That's a lot of toll roads. That's hotel.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to go to the drift, I'm not going to show up not able to run, man. And people, they'll have 84 drivers. Out of 84 drivers, there is rare that everybody's going to make it. Somebody's going to pop an engine on testing. Somebody's going to wreck on testing. Somebody's going to have a death in the family, prior to the event, and you're not going to be able to go. So,
wow, that went dark.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, it's just it just happened. And I was I guess I'm painting a full circle, man. He's having a hard time, and he's having a lot of mechanical failures, and he's just really hard. And I'm like, dude, you just got here 2 weeks ago, man. Let it process, and just know it's not easier here. And, you got to make the transition. So I've been there 14 and a half years, and everything that he's feeling, I've already felt. I'm like, dude, you're going to be fine, dude. Like, you got a good, solid foundation. Of course, he reads the comments, and they were brutal. Because people were like,
he gets a hammering.
People because they're looking for him to fail, and he set himself up a little bit. I told him on the last podcast, I was like, the whole pro drift moniker, but that was his niche, that was his thing, and people misunderstood it.
I think with him, and I got this a bit myself as well. I think people see the title of his videos, or basically what they do is they maybe see a title, like watch 20 seconds of it, and then decide what he's doing is criticizing everybody and telling everybody they're wrong and everybody sucks and blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't say any of that. He pro drifter react. If he's qualified as a pro drifter, he can say that. There's a connotation to it, which maybe rubs people up the wrong way, but it is what it is. And the thing is I've seen pro drifter reacts to James Dean, right? For example. So all he does is say really positive things. Or like who's that kid? Raisa Miyata, I saw that one. And all he did was go, oh yeah, look, he's getting better and better and better. Like all he did was compliment him. He was super positive. But for whatever reason, like people just go, oh, pro drifter reacts. He thinks he's a pro. Let's call him a dick. You know, it's like, like
dude,
what?
I've met the guy, man, and you know, it's.
I sent him a message as well.
I met him. You know, I've talked to him a bunch. I want to say I was one of the catalysts to get him over to Japan because right after our podcast, he started talking about it. You know, it's one. And I met LZ in person. I've met you know, by proxy, I've met Samet not too long ago, and it's my style is different because I'm not. You know, fucking Tom Cruise could walk into here right now, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Tom? I seen you got $60 of my dollars because I watched Top Gun 3 times in like 2 weeks. So, you know, what's up? You want to talk to Matt? And that's my react. That's just me, man. I'm not a wow. Oh my God, that's not me. So when I met Samet, you know, he talked to Matt first, and I just stood there, and then he acknowledged. He said, "Hey, man, I haven't met you before," and I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." Shook his hand, and for him, I could tell he was like, "Oh fuck," he didn't grovel. I'm like, "Nah, dude, not for me. You're not gonna get that. You got a couple 100,000 subscribers." You know, I mean, it doesn't, it doesn't.
It doesn't change who you are when you're standing on your own 2 feet in front of somebody.
So and with him, I told him like, one thing I'm glad he's doing so far, Matt. He didn't run and try to get, you know, because I was like, dude, don't try to collect right away. And he's like, yeah, I wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to try to, I was like, you know, get your own footing, set your own lane. And he's already doing well because he had a good fan base in the States. And now they're seeing JDM through his eyes. And JDM fucking at this like so 2000s, man. But they're seeing it through his eyes. And I'm like, dude, your channel's going to be great. This, you know, the mechanicals. I'm going to talk to him again about the. I mean, he's not asking me, so I don't want to impart any. You know, That's not my lane. But I just tell us.
You don't want to force your advice,
right? And I was like, dude, just make it simple, dude. I think going forward in any drift competitions anywhere in the world, the simplest, most powerfulest, you know, stand together builds is what's going to win championships or events.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
In your car, man. Your S13, like, what's your setup a little bit, man? The one we were just watching a second ago.
It's exactly the same as any car that you'll find in like Kansai region.
Right. So more is like
so it's just
a solid street legal car. Like
pretty much, yeah. I mean, someone the other day described it as a pro car, which was quite funny. It's got a set of B knuckles,
love it,
and tension rods, and just like the rear adjustable arms. And
that's all you need.
That's
dude.
it.
That's like that's all.
Yeah. That's a kind of a lie. It has got and you'll know the benefit of this. It has R32 GTR rear knuckles.
Got you.
But that made a big difference actually. That was Shane really like pushed me to do that. Shane from Stacked Racing, if anyone doesn't know him, one of the best people on the planet. He is always helping me. Like he watches, like I'll send him footage and he'll critique it and he'll just give me one piece of advice that will change my game. He's so intuitive, but it makes a lot of sense because he obviously, you know, he's Team Naoki and Team Mad Mike. So the guys he works with are at a level that are just like the highest it gets. You know? Yeah, so that's my cheat code is R32 GTR rear knuckles.
What rear subframe are you running?
Just S13.
Yeah, man. Small stuff, man. Like that is, you know, and that didn't cost but a few $100, and it's, I don't know, my theory out there, and I don't care if people dislike it, man. I think a lot of the dudes, man, they did too many band-aids, man. So if you play Gran Turismo, Forza, any of these games, and it's like you go in to the assistance and it says turn on aids, they have a lot of aids on. They got steering aids, they got counter steering aids, they got traction aids, they got all these different things, and they just don't know. So you put them in a Hachiroku with a stock 4AG and they can't slide the car. But you put them in a, you know, their S13 LS twin turbo and they can drift Irwindale. It's you know.
I mean, I think like there's definitely it's a different way of
Yeah.
driving, and I don't just want to kind of say like, oh, it's easy,
Oh
because
no,
like
no,
those
yeah, it's
cars,
not. Yeah.
some of them are really fast. They have anything that's got a crazy amount of grip and a crazy amount of power is probably not that easy to drive because it's really fast.
Right.
And when things are really fast, they scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
So like you have to give those guys a lot of credit. I mean, like I just look at a little screen, like Darren McNamara's on now. He's an incredible
Oh yeah.
driver. But
B-Mac,
our
man.
cars are polar opposites. They couldn't be more different,
Yeah, because that thing almost looked like
But,
a Pikes Peak time attack car almost for that setup.
Yeah, I know. I think it's so funny because they're essentially the same car.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like what I'm doing here and the way my car's set up is very different to 95% of other cars. There's like a small handful of us now with like B knuckles and sort of the reverse rake stance and just simplified cars. But what I am finding is that the drivers with that type of setup are getting better and better and better and better. But is that seat time or is that the setup of the car, or
Right.
I don't know. I couldn't really say.
Yeah.
But I know that you can't learn to drive a car set up like that on a sim as easy as you can a Wisefab car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't want to knock people either way, like because they're going to do what they're going to do.
Oh yeah, no doubt. They definitely are. I was talking about as far as me getting back into the thing and just kind of looking from the outside in. I've seen a lot of buddies, man, and they competing and they just week after week after week they're coming up way short because their setups are they're like a fad type. And not everybody, maybe they watch. Don't need to bring up their names, but I talk to them if they watch. Cool, they know. They're building for this whole, like we said in the beginning, the whole likes and all that stuff. And the guy that gives away a Lamborghini doesn't care about likes as based on your setup. And a lot of these guys are building in their cars like for likes. It's weird. And then they go out there and they got XYZ part and they just don't match up. You got this knuckle with this subframe with this wheel with this angle kit, and like better than anybody, man. Like it's like a soup, man, and like you have like all the wrong ingredients, it's not going to be a good soup. But you have
100%. This is the thing with like the B knuckle setup is it's not just a knuckle. Because I see people buy the knuckle and then they still have like their racks move forward or like roll center corrected this, that, or the other, or extended arms. It's like that's not like the B knuckle isn't just the knuckle, it's the system.
Right.
So you need it to be set up. You need the car set up to operate with that knuckle. And then when you've done that, you've got to learn to drive that car, because it's driving a car with 10 degrees of front camber and a bunch of toe out and all the other stuff that goes with that setup is not, it's not a walk in the park if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Because you have to be so aggressive and so like purposeful. And if you don't throw the car with everything you've got, then it won't do anything, or you'll just understeer and crash it. Like, it's not forgiving. But I like that. I like that you've got to just, it's about the driving and not the car.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing well, it's because I'm driving well. It's not because I've made the excuse of I need more power.
Yeah.
More power would be nice, but the only so next year I'm going to have more power. I've got a 2.3 liter SR built by D-Way Engines. Dave's he's like our resident genius in the UK for just building JDM engines. Oh, I said JDM as well. Yeah. I feel dirty.
We're old, man.
Yeah. So he's the guy. So the only reason I want more power is because when I'm up against these cars that are like 600, 700, 800 horsepower, they just get to the initiation faster than me.
Yeah.
Once we're drifting, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, man. That's another thing that I was, I speak to a small group of guys and they've all been around the same time. And it's funny, like a couple guys I talked to the other day, He was one guy who was getting. He was like, "Hey, I gotta stop drifting. I just lost. I had a divorce and some her fault." But he looked in the mirror and he was like, "Yeah, I was hanging out late nights doing blah blah blah." And he was like, "I'm scared to take." I'm like, "Dude, I've been away 6 years as far as competition and events just to get my business up, man. My business is doing well." And it's like, dude, 6 years, if health provided, and you're gonna see 6 years, it's gonna pass quicker than you think, and then you resume, man. But
crazy fast, yeah.
Man. So it's crazy, to have that stuff going on, and yeah. And then what I just said a few minutes ago about the bolts and everything, and I want to get this my first pro event in like 6 years, and now I'm like, potentially, after we get done here, whatever can get done by tomorrow, potentially having to say, hey, man, I'm not going to make it. And that's that. But, there's more. And it's just the biggest thing about that, being away and, I don't know, man. Guys just kind of, you got to find your, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, man, you got to find your reason why you want to do this. When you look at it on the outside, looking in, collectively all around the world, people looking at us like, you guys literally spend X amount of dollars on eight set of tires and you destroy them in 20 laps. Like, yeah, it's cool, man. We got cool tire stacks, and and the cool thing is,
I think
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you need a reason why, I think there's only one reason. It's because one day you can't.
Yeah.
So that's why I came back drifting, is because I started. It sounds weird. I'm starting to get a bit older. Not old, but I'm halfway, and it's like, how much longer? So I based how much drifting I've got on Okachan, oddly enough. So the last D1 Street Legal Okachan won was when he was 63 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I've got from now until I'm 63.
Yeah. That's a good.
Because if he can do it at 63, then I can do it at 63.
Who's
right?
the oldest? I need to probably look this. Who's the oldest D1 champ?
The oldest D1 champion?
Yeah. Probably Kawabata. At the time when they won, because
maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe Nomura, Nomuken.
Probably.
But I guess he's been out of it for 4 years now.
And it's weird too. I mean, I don't even that's the one thing is crazy, man. That whole thing, when James Dean was on his tear in the FD, I wasn't I was telling my guy and he's laughing at me. When I last followed FD, Tanner Faust had won a championship. Yeah, and then I just picked up. I picked up. I think it was a season before. It was. Again, it was. I don't follow LZ like that, but when he got in, it was interesting, and he brought a bunch of people to the table, and I was one of the guys, and actually it ended up being a good time to get back into it, man. It seemed like it changed, and it seemed like FD everything restructured, and now Kumakubo even said that when he went to Irwindale and he went to the spot with the spotters, he was like, dude, D1 is no longer the technology, the power, it's no longer.
I think that was a little while ago, since he said that, and I think now,
it's been
I think D1 is stepping up again.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not the venues as much. Okabuki is it's a funny venue.
Yeah, and I want to get there.
I've actually drifted there.
Yeah,
I bought somebody's car and drifted there ages ago, but yeah, I think some of the stuff was maybe it was at Fuji, and I saw a couple of direction changes that Naoki and Yokoi were doing, and they were just and I've been watching drifting 20 years, and my brain was just like, how in the hell have those cars just changed direction at that speed? I couldn't, because Fuji is fast, right? I'm pretty sure it was Fuji, and it was just mind blowing. There was so much stored energy, you know the word tobashi,
yeah.
So Western drifting is tobinai kanji.
It's the kind of like this. The kind of instead of
the like the snapping, like
right,
forward
right, right,
snapping
right,
power.
right.
So like, so basically, like that isn't something that really exists in Western drifting. It happens, and sometimes it's pretty nuts. Like guys like Jack Shanahan, you watch
Yeah,
his drifting, and he's got like that explosive, like violent snap to his car. So like after drifting so long, what you actually enjoy about it becomes more refined. So now I couldn't give a shit if someone's making smoke or not. Like it's irrelevant.
yeah.
I want to see how that.
Old
I want
guy,
to see
man.
how that. I want to see how the car
Yeah.
moves. You know, like making smoke. Like to me, is just. There's a lot of dudes that go nowhere and make a bunch of smoke.
Bro,
Or
yeah. I'll give my go ahead and finish talking. I'll give my ideas on it.
there's no point venting about it because everybody knows, right?
Yeah.
There's some cars that are like make a lot of smoke and they're fast. That's fine.
Right.
But what I want to see, what I think is critical, is how the car moves, and I think that's something that the Japanese look at, and the Western world doesn't. The Western world still wants you to see you hit the clipping box, or the lines on the floor, or these technical details, which is that's fine. Like it's great for judging, but I think one of the biggest problems with competition is still that competitions do not make the most of the drivers that they have, in the sense of what the drivers are capable of is much more entertaining than what they end up doing because they're trying to drive through a box.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense. So the guys that are on big smoke, big angle, wise fab, left foot braking will do well at competitions because that's what their cars are built for. So therefore, like me, with my car that's not set up that way, I can't then go to a competition and complain it's not set up for me.
Right.
Because that isn't the status quo. If I go to Mahan, you know, like assuming we were the same bunch of drivers and not the actual locals, because I get my ass kicked, but I would do much better in that environment because that's what my car is set up for, you know, like that more aggressive, like snappy, big feints, you know, like my car does that very well, but that's what it is. And that's what I like to drive. So I think now there's more of a crossover, and that crossover seems to be Drift Masters.
Yeah.
And I would say that Drift Masters is now, no offense to anyone that drives in Formula D, because they're amazing drivers. I know quite a few of them. But I think Drift Masters is currently the highest level of competitive drifting.
Yeah, I definitely want to check. I told my guy, my co-host, I was going to check some of that stuff out because we kind of naturally got it because he was FD spotter and all that stuff like that, and I just started following it, and more so because of the streaming. And one thing, like BDC here, Driftman, the streaming, man, like the YouTube, it's allowed. It's just allowed the ease of viewing. You don't need to pay for some stupid subscription. Just started riding motocross myself about a year ago, and one thing I noticed, like now they don't know who wants to show the stuff, man. And it's like guys got to pirate to watch the thing. It's a shit show, and you have this stuff now, man. High quality production. You got points. You got the leaders board, scoreboards. It's like this is stuff that NBC was doing 13 years ago. You can do this with some software, a strong Wi-Fi signal, this is top-notch stuff, man.
I think there's a lot to be said by actually going backwards in time. The trouble is smartphones sort of ruin the idea, but all these DVDs behind me,
relics.
They're relics, but like they're so entertaining because you can go and you can watch around, and it's like the highlights, it's the cool stuff that happened, it's like the crazy crashes. It's okay, well, here's this competitor, we're gonna just like jump and show you his workshop and what he does and some funny stuff, and then we'll go back to the and that show element definitely got lost. And I think it's really quite interesting, or maybe it's ironic that like as more drift superstars have emerged, the more like that, like Formula Drift, for example, has become like D1, where they have their group of drivers. Yeah, like the D1 would take the top 16 or top 20 drivers around the place or whatever, and they were the show. Like, and you knew the characters, they were in the DVDs, and now it's the same thing, but like Ryan Turk, Adam LZ, you know, Vaughn Gittin when he was doing it, Chris Forsberg, they're just, you know, YouTube celebrities. I mean, it's not their primary thing, but if you look at it in the sense of like, you can go and see what they do in their shops and their daily life, and then they go and do this competition.
Right.
So now, like, it's kind of like Formula Drift and Drift Masters and all these competitions that were so like against the D1 format are slowly becoming what D1 is or was. You know, D1 now I think is it's not quite the same animal, is it? Like,
no,
because you know,
it's the, I think is the luster is gone, and with it's kind of, I think it's just you know, it was a time when there was only D1. Kind of a correlation we can make now, if guys listening, watch, and follow UFC, for example. When you say UFC, I train mixed martial arts, and people label they don't call it MMA, they call it UFC. When there's, you know, there's Glory, there's this guy, there's one, there's all these different. For the guys who follow it, they know UFC is just one of the most dominant ones. They bought our pride, all that stuff, and then there's, you know, there's other ones coming up, but they can kind of hold a candle to them somewhat, but they can't. They just have the marketing. And D1, you know, for a long time was that, you know, I remember I honestly I see your stack back there, and I regret I sold 100 and about 20 DVDs, man.
Oh wow!
To buy a clutch, and for
the funny thing is that like, if you think about like how much money, because they were,
and like, I bought them all secondhand. You know, I bought them all secondhand, but still, like,
I knew they were like 2,000 yen, weren't they?
Yeah, and I bought, and there was,
were they cheaper?
They don't
cheaper at one point.
They don't even. It's not a thing anymore. Like, I don't go to the bookstore anyway, and the kind of funny thing on that is ironically, I just told my wife to cancel Dory 10 and option. I got all these magazines, dude, and I don't sell. It's the Instagram and all that stuff, man. It just kind of really, print is not prevalent.
Yeah.
And I have all these magazines. I'm like, dude, that's it. I'm not, after moving all these boxes around for event I had the other day, I'm like, dude, this is not going nowhere. So I gotta make package deals and get rid of this stuff, man, before the mildew comes in and like destroys them. I got thousands of magazines, dude.
There are collectors out there, though.
Yeah. So I mean, I post up and everything, and I got to take pictures of each one of them. Yeah, got to take pictures of each one of them, and Mitto Steele's gonna get a care package for free, so don't worry about that, man. Yeah, so don't even worry about that. So what I do is I kind of now I chuck them in with stuff, and I, you know, do little giveaways, but I didn't do it to make, because I sell them for the same price that you will buy at a bookstore. I have a bunch of them. So I started with 28, and he was like, dude, are you serious? And then I went down to like 20, and then I went down 15. I went on to 8, and I'm like, it's just not going to. So I was like, hey, you know, sorry, but I'm going to have to pull a plug on this, because if I look at my money at the end of the year, I'm wasting money, and it's not good. But yeah, overall, man, like you mentioned, 100%, that's the thing. I haven't watched an option video in a long time, and I think is now. I would talk to Suzuki-san, you know, one of the judges for D1, and I was like, telling him about YouTube about 2 years before they did it, and he was like, oh yeah, we're thinking because DVD sales are going down, and sure
they were too slow, man.
Yeah,
it was so
by the time
slow.
I came out, it's already been 2 events, so now they've seen that they can put the stuff in there. They transferred everything over, and they got all these subscribers overnight, and you know now. But like you said, man, those guys don't have the benefit of what we had when we popped the DVD in. We see Nomokin doing crazy stuff with the girls. He's like a little pervert or what, perverted. But it was like that was Nomokin. We knew what it was, man.
Yeah, when he put the big eyebrows on and the little mustache and stuff.
He had the little energy drink, and he just shaking it like
that was the one more time thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude. So like this is the young Nomokin when he went to the Nissan factory. I think they built a 180, and like
that's cool.
All that stuff, man.
I still think the funniest thing I've ever seen him do was he went he went stock car racing, the one where the wheel pops off, and he's just like, he's like, what do I do now?
Like they hit the little like it's like the little sound effects they use that Japanese master. Oh, this you?
Here's my qualifying.
Okay, let's check it out, man. This is the first or second one.
Let me see.
There you go.
That's the first one. I cut narrow.
See, right there, man. Like I've been watching these kind of like, you know, even your snap right there that was something that I've been here so long and it's normal. I do it. That entry was like so quick, and a lot of guys are in the States. They're doing like they're just kind of reacting to it versus like you threw the car into that corner, man. Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch.
The car really grips up a lot.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, I've got 4 kilo springs on the back at the moment. So like it kind of wants to push forwards. So like it's very difficult to get it to sit wide, like on corners. So I keep cutting in narrow like that. So I need to figure something out.
But no, competition is
the way it moves is you recognize it.
Competition is competition, man, and it's one of those things where like I was talking to Stewie Bryant, and you know, and Stewie's kind of one of those guys where he can compete, but he doesn't give a damn about it, and he just wants to do his back. He's in his scrap tires. He's an awesome soul, man. But he's like
sick driver as well.
It's like he doesn't. It's so many drivers out there, man. I would correlate Stewie to like I'm not sure if you're familiar with in the States this thing called and one basketball, where there's like these dudes that go around and they don't do it anymore, I don't think, but they're really, 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 really extremely good at basketball. They do tricks and different things, but they're not NBA like.
Is this the dunk contest thing?
Dunk contest. It's a group of guys. They're from New York, and they just kind of travel around and like they destroy guys in 5-on-5 basketball, like on the.
Oh yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that because there's another kid who does it. There's like a little blonde kid, isn't there?
Yeah. So now they do it. Now so that's what.
And he just looks like nothing. And he kicks everyone's ass.
So now it's on YouTube. So I haven't. So they made a transfer. Back in the day, there were VHS and DVDs. There was no YouTube, and there was one guy was Skip to my Lou, and he actually made it to the. There was a few guys that made it to the NBA, but then people saw. They would destroy guys on the basketball courts around the neighborhoods, but he was just like he was the 7th guy off the bench. Like, you know, he wasn't getting any game time. And so the difference is like, you know, where a guy like Daigo or Nakamura, he's not a good example because he does competition and like freestyle well. But some guys are really good in toge. Some guys are really good at track. Some guys are. They can be the toge master, and on the track they're fucking off every corner because they're just not used to that, you know, speed or whatever, man. So
that environment,
it's odd that I became a track guy and I went to toge, and then I felt stiff, and then I actually wrecked one of my cars out there because they said slow down, and I was like, what do you mean slow down? That's cool, right? It was like,
you said this story before, like, and you didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, so just real quick on the guys, whatever. I was 4th gear coming down the hill, and they were like, dude, sounds cool, looks cool, but your weight is this not here. This is 2nd gear. And I came down the hill, man, and sure enough, I couldn't see where I was going, and I went down the hill into a tree, man. So I didn't know that. I thought I figured because I'm so used to 1st, 2nd, 3rd, get in there and, like, you know, really extend the gears, and you got to be showing speed and all that stuff, and there's no judges out there. There's trees and the guardrails. And you know, that was my mistake, and they were telling me to chill out, and I didn't. And as a result, I T-boned a tree. And yeah, man. So it's weird how you can be good at one setting and suck at another setting. So
I don't know about that. I think it's just like learning your environment.
Yeah.
Definitely, like street drifting in Japan taught me so much more about drifting than ever being on a circuit. Like we used to street drift here, but like when you go to the toge and you see someone that's really, really good on the toge, they're just a completely different animal.
I think it's that, and then also like the environment where they're doing it, and like the risk. Like if you go too far this way, you're going off this cliff, and your car is gonna be buried, and no Unique is gonna be able to pull your car up there, and you're going to have to pull off your tags and your registration and cover the car up with leaves and pull all the parts of...
Dude, that's if you're able to get out your car. Some of the togeis I've seen, like, man, if you come off, you're
Oh
dead.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's not like a question.
Yeah.
You are dead. Like simply.
Yeah. Did you see? There was one again. Option videos behind you. There was the one where they went and found a They were like toge hunting, and they found there was this one super dude, the JZ70. Like I'm talking about. I think no, Alexi did it. Alexi did it. A video where he.
Oh yeah,
was,
yeah. That one's famous.
Dude, way.
It's almost a shrine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like way back there. Like he went off the road, way off the road. It's just like, dude, this is pull your tags off. Scrape the VIN numbers off. You're never getting this car back, and the engine was still inside of there. So I'm like, I would have tried to pull the engine out with a tree or something like that. But yeah,
but you're strong enough to pull it up the hill. You know what I mean? That's a workout for you,
dude. I mean, when I crashed my car to Togi, I was like, dude, I got to get this engine out of here, man. Like I gotta, because I just felt like I was only 10 feet off the road, so I was like really over exaggerating the thing, but. They pulled me up and I got the car back that same afternoon. But yeah, man, it was I haven't been back since. That's been almost 5 years.
I've seen a couple of cars on some toges that were like there's no way like you could even reach the car.
Right.
So whether the person is still in the car or not, I couldn't tell you. But I know I know quite a few people have died on the toge, and you know, one guy at the dock spot we used to drift, like one guy hit a lamppost there, like a pole, and he basically chopped his car in half.
Shit.
and like that was bad. But
yeah, man,
but that's the reality of street drifting. Like, you know, it's all cool until
what's this guy, the RX-7? I think
someone's car's chopped in half. Oh, it's a Pontiac.
Oh, that thing looks dope. I was like trying to figure out, like a Batmobile or what the hell, man. That thing looks kind of.
It's the
Trans Am.
I don't know. I don't know American cars. It looks like a slice of cheese to me.
Well, there's a WS6 maybe. I kind of can see the little WS6. I can't tell, but yeah, pretty cool.
It's really nuts to look at as well, because it doesn't have windows, and it's like. It almost looks like a tube frame car.
Yeah. So that's like crazy. You got that car.
Really
and what's the guy in FD right? The FD who's kind of, I forgot his name out. He's a OG. He's driving a Aston Martin, and it was kind of having issues. Australian guy, man.
Driving an Aston Martin. You don't mean Sultan, do you?
No, it's a dude driving a V10 or a V12 Aston Martin in FD right now, and it's kind of having issues with it.
Oh, do you mean Federico?
No, not
Sharifico,
no,
the Ferrari guy.
The Ferrari guy. It's a guy from Australia and New Zealand that's driving it. Australia or New Zealand, and he's driving the Aston Martin. It sounds amazing, and he's starting to get it dialed in. But at first, Long Beach, it was not good. It was, you know, a new car, really dope looking, really sounds great. But I forgot his name popped in my head. He's an OG in Australia. And yeah, man, it's just cool to see different cars there. And he's probably like, you know, that's a risk, because if he crashes that car, he doesn't have parts, you know, available to do that stuff, man. But this is the pro class, correct? This event you guys are.
Yeah. This is pro. Yeah.
So you got
so some of these dudes are good.
Yeah, man.
Like this Fion, this little kid. I think he's like 14 or something. So he's it's the Shanahan support him.
Got you.
So like Jack Shanahan and Connor are like his pit crew. So imagine you got two of the best drivers in the world as your pit crew. Yeah. And those two boys, I will say, like Jack and Connor, are just so humble and down to earth and have time for everybody. Like, while I get the chance to mention it, I just want to say how decent they are. And if anyone in America or Japan or anywhere else is watching and they need a driver, call those boys. I'm like, more than deserve it.
It's like cool being away for things. And I was like, you know, they're getting older and older. And I was like, you know, I know Corona has definitely screwed up a lot of people's plans to do different things. Because I know Shinji was going to go to FD, and then that killed it. His car was over in the States, and vice versa. There was guys going to migrating, and I was like looking, you know, towards the Shanahans, like, you know, possibly running in the States, Japan or something, because they're people who follow the scene. Like I don't never met them, but you know, the Shanahans is a name that you hear, and for them to have the skill sets they have, you know, being so young and then coming up in the scene. It's awesome to hear that they like that, because so many guys, again, I see it a lot, and I call it out, man. A lot of dudes do figure eights. They win one local event, and they're fucking rock stars. I'm like, dude, if a dude like Daigo can be cool, or Nakamura can be a cool level-headed guy, being that they accomplished what they accomplished, like, just relax, man. And,
I've yet to meet a drifter at a high level that's just a dick.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think you can succeed if you're like that.
It's always the guys that are like, they can drive. You can drive, dude, but like they just the whole IG, Twitter, Facebook thing, man. It's creating like a lot of passive aggressiveness. Things people will say shit online, they wouldn't say it at your face, and it's just creating a different vibe. Where if at the core of it, you see it all the time. Now it's cool in FD where a competitor will loan a guy a coil pack or an injector, knowing that you got to race this guy, or this guy could potentially beat you, and you loan him, like, So it's cool to see that even a bigger team still will help a dude within reason. If they got the spare parts.
At the end of the day, we're all drivers and we're all there.
All doing the same shit, man. I guarantee you, there's somebody right now that is in the same position I'm in right now, with something hard broke that they weren't expecting, and they got to make it happen and get parts and make, So I got my phone, a bunch of messages.
Hi,
and,
it's me.
Yeah, dude. So So
we all got stuff to fix. That's how it goes.
You breaking the last time out? What do you got to fix?
So I broke a damper. I crashed pretty good last time I was out. Not really sure why. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I just kind of I just felt like I lost all grip, like front and rear grip. It just, like, the car washed out. Whether that was a mistake I made, or tires, or something on the track, I have no idea. But I ended up coming off track, and I sort of when you catch the tires and then it sucks you in.
Yeah.
So I got the little go-kart tires, so it sucked me in, and I went on top of them. And I think if I hadn't, so I counter-steered pretty fast, and I think if I hadn't counter-steered, I think I would have dug in and rolled over.
Oh man!
It was pretty close.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. So I broke a damper. I blew all of the aero off the car.
Was it during this event, or was it an event before?
No, this event I went off as well.
It was one I was on, actually, man. I was actually watching this while I was driving to MSP, and I was actually streaming this. And you had I've seen your run, the one we saw, but like the track, man, it looks like, is there spots where like you'll dip your tire off and like you damage tire rods and stuff there, or was that just a?
Not really, but I mean, if you my second run might come up in a little while, and I catch the gravel, and that part of the track's pretty dangerous. I mean, one of the guys in the battles, he caught the gravel there, and it caught his car and like
right there,
360'd him. It ripped the wheels off, it ripped the suspension off, like it was super gnarly. Oh yeah, that inside clip, that was kind of okay. The more difficult part was convincing yourself to stay on full throttle after the first 3 clips to the 4th clip. So like going through that area, so the reason I went off the first time was I was going through like flat in 3rd, and I was shift locking down to 2nd to come into the next clip to kind of like downhill. And obviously I shift locked and just caught understeer and went flying off the track. Stupid mistake. But that area there was the one that was like, if you come off there, you're going to damage your car quite badly. And if you come off on the first corner, you're going to damage your car quite badly. So it's a naughty place. It's the kind of runoff there and the way the track is set out is very reminiscent of Japan in the sense of it's not forgiving.
I just noticed DMAC car is left-hand drive.
Yeah. Well, he's done more driving or drifting left-hand drive than he has right-hand drive now. Yeah, because of all his years in FD. So I guess it makes more sense to him.
Yeah, man. That's good.
I don't know if it's a 240 or if it's converted. I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah, but that's weird, man. Because it is when I went back to Atlanta for the event, man. I didn't drift. I mean, I did a couple laps and I got right back into it. So I really didn't feel, like it wasn't too bad. But it was weird being on the left hand side after drifting for 10 years straight, right-hand drive, and I got into the Hachiroku of all cars. And but after a couple of laps, I was like, all right, cool, let's right back into it. But the yeah, that's yeah, I can definitely honestly, I'm sending one of my 33s over because while I can adapt back to left-hand drive, I just been doing it for so long. Right-hand drive now, dude, it's just I don't want that to be a factor of why I screw up or something like that.
But right-hand drive is just natural,
Yeah,
right? So
it just
to me, it makes more sense.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But then
yeah,
I did ice drifting once left-hand drive. That was pretty funny.
yeah, because it was for me. It was I was 25. I was 25 when I left. It was like 26 or I don't know, 25, 26, 27 when I left America. And I've been here 14 and a half years, and I've done. I started drifting in America, but I learned how to drift in Japan. And people were like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, dude, I was just doing J turns and shit in America. I was drifting in the rain, and I didn't have tires, so I would drift in the rain to conserve tires and also to bring down the noise level. So I did couple drift events there, but no, 3. I did 3 drift events, and I left in 2008, and I was like skid pad and like off the track and all that stuff. So I learned how to drift in Japan, which is cool, man. So yeah, I definitely think my plan. We haven't spoken a bit, and my plan actually this past summer was to go over and do some pro-am events. Logistics, money, Corona's still doing its thing. I decided to postpone it to next year. So I'm sending the car over. I'm going to do the build here, send it over without a cage, get the cage there, and do pro-am. And I could petition. I have enough followers and enough whatever to petition in, but I don't want to do that. I want to get to see time and do it proper, because that's not kind of going back to Matt. One of the things people was knocking him on to was not the car not being ready and stuff like that. I know more about what the situation is than the viewers, and anybody would have issue with it. But the petitioning in and doing this and doing that, people are going to like, oh man, how did you get in? They're jealous. They're jealous, and they're just looking for.
I think Matt's spread too thin at the moment.
Yeah.
Because he's doing the YouTuber thing. He's like messing with one car and then another car and another car, and it's like, like running one competition car is hard enough. Like I think he's spread too thin.
Yeah.
But...
So I mean, we talk. We talk, man. So he's right now. He just. I don't know how like you when you first got here in Japan, man. What was your? All right, if you could break it down, man. What was your first month in Japan like, if you remember? Like. It's been 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, man. No, it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got something in my eye. What was the first month like? Jeez. A lot of the stories I wouldn't want my mother to hear. Yeah. But yeah, like the first night I arrived, we were like, oh man, we just think I was drunk a lot because I used to drink back then. And so I got drunk. We partied a hell of a lot. I blew so much of my money right away, just being crazy. And then, I don't know. I just consumed as much drifting as I could. Like, it's I don't know.
So were you already?
I don't know what I could really say about it.
Were you drifting already before Japan?
Oh yeah, for like 10 years or something.
Yeah, it is.
So well, I mean, it's like I've been on and off with Japan like pretty much my whole time drifting.
Right.
So, like the first time was in 2001, and I went to Auto Salon.
Yeah,
that was an experience because when I turned up. Obviously, I didn't know Abina Japanese, and none of the signs. Like now, everything's in English, and everyone speaks English, and it's really easy. 20 years ago, that didn't happen, and I remember we had the conversation before because I went to my friend's place in Hachinohe, and so getting from Tokyo, it's like it's quite a distance, right? It's quite a long way. So getting from Tokyo to there and then like working out where my friend's place was and getting the right train was like, that was an ordeal because like I was an idiot, and I needed my hand held with a lot of things that I was doing in my life then. Like I didn't really have the confidence.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I did. I don't know. I went to the other side of the world by myself.
Yeah,
So
and that was a big, for the people who don't understand, like, the way I break it down to guys who've never been, to me, because I've been from the top of the mainland to the bottom. I've been all the way from, Mori down to Fukuoka. I've drove down there before, and it looked, dude, I've driven, it looks identical, the same color, same hues, trees, farm fields, and it's pretty much a farm with cities sprinkled in. You got Shinjuku, Tokyo, you got Osaka, you got Sendai. Hachinohe is like the closest city to us, and then like you have the Amori city, which is so we're kind of like it's not boondocks where there's nothing around, but it's, Hachinohe is, if you would have came to Masawa, you'd be like, holy fuck, dude, because back then there was the stuff that's here now is not here. Hachinohe was still kind of like, kind of urban, if you would say, more concrete than grass in areas, but here is just straight farm fields and stuff like that. So a lot of guys just kind of, they come here, and like I say, even Matt was saying, he was like, yeah, man, I thought it would be, this and this. I'm like, nah, dude, it's a farm, it's an agricultural country with city sprinkled.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're not going to be able to just go to this place and pick up a T51Z whatever, blah 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 turbo, and you got to order it. It's like the same. It's not. So he was shocked that, we talked offline.
Getting parts in Japan is a pain in the ass.
Major pain, and people like they'll think you're bullshitting. I'm like, nah, dude, it's harder. When I went back to the States for that July thing, I went to Napa, which is like we have Napa, O'Reilly's, auto, all these auto stores. I was like, dude, I can get this. I was like, I've been here, I lived in America, but I was like, I forgot that you can go in there and get a 4-inch coupler, or you can get this, you can get the universal.
It's all on the shelf.
Universal flex hose with a steel cord inside that you can flex around. I'm like, dude, I was like, holy shit, dude. Dude's like, dude, like, this is Napa, been like this for years. I'm like, dude, I've been gone for 10 plus years, so it's just.
It's like when I came. That's one of the reasons I left Japan, is that coming here, like, if I need parts, if I need a gearbox or a clutch or some random bolt or whatever it is, I can get it today.
Right.
Like, the only difference is now is from how it used to be is the price is tripled. So like, if you can afford to do it, then like you can get as much stuff here as easy as you can in Japan. I think it's probably very different when you're a local and you've got a group of guys, because for example, Yokoi with Mind Control, like his shops were it wasn't just him. Like, all the dudes are there, and there's spare knuckles, there's spare arms, there's spare everything. So if you need something and you're in that group of dudes, like, same day, bang, done. No problem.
Yeah.
Like, because those guys want to run, but it's very insular. When you're a gaijin turning up and trying to like just charge in and be like, hey, I need stuff. Like,
yeah, because they'll have it. You'll act like I put out an API, like for example, I just installed my last set of flywheel bolts. I had a set on my shelf for like a year, and I just keep, what I do is, instead of buying like one free, I'll buy like 24, 6 times whatever, and so I sell them to guys. So I'm known as the guy who has like, I have like SR20 fuel rail, the little plastic stanchions that you always drop down in the bay. I got like 30. I got 34 of those. I just got 34 of those. So randomly a guy will hit me up, hey man, you got 2. I lost one. Like, yeah, come over. Is this much? So I'm that guy. I buy a bunch of stuff, and as a result, you're
doing it American style.
Yeah. So I but now I was like, fuck. So I just messaged my guy, and I should be able to get flywheel bolts like tonight, hopefully by tomorrow. So I can do my thing and get everything back together. But the damage,
unless you get a Nismo clutch, then it comes with them.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I got. So I got my whole thing with them and everything, man. So I mean, they're standard bolts, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, the whole thing with that stuff, man. I've just been here long enough to see it. I'm not paying 200% markup for the same product with a different name on it. And being in the game, being in the industry now, and being able to see behind the curtain a little bit, and being able to see where things originate from, yeah, it's not. I get good results with the stuff I use, but Japanese, they're very. You've been here, man. They're very kind of horse with blinders on, and now they're just starting to get out and see sicky stuff and stuff from the guys in Australia, New Zealand, quality gear for a fraction of the price. And it's just, I don't preach to nobody. I just do it and I show up and they're like, how do you got? I had a dual caliber kit when I was in divisionals, and the guy FD guy George Marsevich, I think it was his last name. He made the kit, and I was the only guy in divisionals and street legal with a dual caliber kit back at that time, and they were like blown away. I'm like, dude, it was like $80, and I had to cut off the ears and put on a Z32 caliber, flip it upside downwards, and that was it. And they just, to them it was just like only Daigo and those guys had stuff. They had this shit back then, but only Kawabata and those guys had dual calibers. That wasn't a thing, back.
It wasn't normal.
Yeah, it wasn't normal at all. Even Sunaga was like, "Oh, Sugo." I'm like, "Dude, you just won a D1 Street League Championship. Calm down." Like, it's like, but now, man, and then Sunaga, like I told you last time, man, I had Sunaga drive my car, and he came back like, "Nah, this ain't it, man." I was like, "Respect, man." He's like, "Yeah, shit sucks, dude. Like, it's too stiff." He's like, "You built a time attack car," and he's like, "Next time, don't weld all the stuff up." And I didn't know better, so.
Yeah, but the trouble is now is like, because I'm kind of the same where I want the chassis a little loose, but the metal's like 20, 30 years old.
Yeah, man.
So everything's getting fatigued. So now it's at the point where like, my car now is trying to rip the front cross member off itself. Man. So it's like, you have to make this stuff stronger, because what we're doing is just so much more destructive to the vehicles.
Your car still has the stock inner tubs, or you got the aftermarket tubs for the front?
They got cut out. So the only reason I changed to the PS, because like I've always been an S15 guy, and I changed to the PS because the S15, so the regulations are changing so that I couldn't have a bolt and cage. It had a bunch of rust, and it just needed a bunch of like repairs to make it like nice. Because obviously after you rust repair, you got to paint it and everything. Yeah. So by the time I figured out the cost of that, I sold the S15 and I converted to the PS, and it effectively ended up costing me next to nothing to be in the PS. Excuse me, that already had the cage, already been painted, already been under sealed. So the shell of it was immaculate. So it was like, well, it's cheaper for me to do that, and I'll just do that. And it's not because I wanted a PS, it's just because it saved me work.
Yeah, that dude does.
And then I started.
Yeah, the chassis is like everything, the engine, like the chassis is the most time consuming part, and the dreaded part of any build is like, fuck, I gotta strip all this stuff off, and I gotta do this, and having a rolling chassis with a legal cage in is like, dude, let's go, man. Let's put all subframes.
It saves you a lot of hassle.
So much time.
So weirdly now I'm an S13 guy.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to be, because I still love S15s, but now I look at the S13, I'm like, oh damn, this is cool. Yeah. Like I don't, because I've got the S15 in the garage, and I'm like, and it's Car Modify Wonder kit. Like, I dreamt about owning that kit since it came out. Like, I remember when it came out, I was like, that thing is nuts. Like, I want one, and it's like like back in the day, looking at the HKS car and just thinking in your head, like, oh man, I'm never going to afford a Vertex kit.
Yeah.
And it was the same kind of vibe as that. But yeah, now I've got one, and I'm like, maybe I just want another S13 instead. Like, I don't know. Just, I can't figure it out. There's something about those stupid boxy things that just, I don't know. It's really compelling, isn't it? Because I think it's just, the first car I ever saw drifting was an AE86. And the second car was a PS13. As a green one. And it just stuck with me. Because they were like the only two choices, right? Like when I started. You go Sylvia or you go Hachiroku, and that's like that defines who you're going to be.
Oh man, the dude can run with no hood on there. You guys can run with no hoods. No bonnet. He has no bonnet.
You're supposed to have it, but I think if your car's gonna blow up or something, then
Oh, now you got Ellis in it, man. So
you can run without it. Yeah.
They need to cool off. But far as the how would you rate how would you see like drifting your S15 compared to drifting S13? Drifting S15 compared to 13. Which one do you, obviously, which one I guess feels more natural to you?
So the S15 was just, it had a lot of problems. So when I was running and maintaining that car, I was driving to my friend's shop, Carson Performance, and sometimes that journey would take, and sometimes it'd take 2. It depended on traffic. So on average, it was an hour and a half there, and then I'd get there, and then just like that farm, like that where it was, like the location was a very social place, so everyone would say hello, and then you do this and then you do that, and then because I'm like tagging on my friend's workshop, like I'm carrying tools around in my boot, in my trunk, so it just my time there wasn't very productive at all, so the car just didn't get worked on properly.
Right.
This is my second run. Should we watch this one?
Yeah, check it out, man.
This one's better. So there you go. Online, I just went a little too fast and caught the gravel.
Oh, this is the one I seen. This is the one I seen when it was like right when I clicked on, you were like about to run. I was like, no shit, man, good timing.
Yeah. So I had to sacrifice that line a little so I could make it out all the way to these clips. Because my I don't know what it is, but like I don't really get on with changing up to third mid drift. So I couldn't really change up to third and have it reliable. So I had to just like really run second out.
I got a little bit PTSD. Like it's fine. I've changed the gearing to be in third. Like for example, my home course, Kumakubo came once and he was like rating. He was watching everybody and he had the thing. He was like, before we go into the competition, the advice I would give you guys is get your ratios. Back then I wasn't, he was just drifting, and he was like, get your ratios to the point where you can get in third gear and just drift. You don't want to, because everybody was misshifting. Right, you have to shift right as you that's the everybody was geared the same almost, so you have to shift right, and I actually crashed my car once because it's like you missed the gear, things come unsettled, things unlocked, and then now you're springing up into the wall, and and after I was like, man, I drifted MSV for a long time. Once I started getting into third gear at the top of the initiation when you start, and so all you just focus on drifting. You don't have to change gears and all that stuff, man. So I between crashing once and then also I blew a transmission I kind of went in between the gates, and I kind of like just chunked it in there, man. It was like this loud grinding noise when I did it, and so I kind of had PTSD from upshifting. So I would actually raise my back when I didn't have a lot of cash, I would raise the RPMs on my power seat to like 89. Just to give me a little bit.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a little bit more. But I wouldn't go up. But instead of banging off a 79, I would have a little bit of more space. Oh, holy shit, dude! What happened to him?
He did the same thing I did, but like 2 inches further into the gravel. Yeah, and that guy was in the top. I think he did pretty well. Like he got up there in the top of the competition in the end.
But yeah, man, this PT.
Of course, is gnarly.
Yeah. That's what I was asking, because it looked like it has like, I can't tell from watching, but it looks like it has like little drop offs where if you drop a tire off, it'll really unsettle things. And I seen it rip your bumper off and stuff like that. And he got cones and everything under there, or he DB'd it.
Yeah, it folded the quarter panel under itself on the back. So yeah, look, you can see the slow mo. Look.
Well, he DB'd it before. Before he even hit, like tire was already gone off the.
Oh, DB'd it. Oh, right, okay.
So that sent him off.
You can see, like, if he he could have gone over so easily, like, because once you hit like that, you're just a passenger, right? Like it's just.
Driftland is about not even 10 years old, correct?
No, it's I don't know how old it is. I think it might be 10 years old, maybe something like that.
Yeah, because I remember
I've only been there once, and I'm going back there next month, I think.
Yeah.
My friend's got an event there called Dory Fest, so it's I don't know, all the cool cars that don't compete are going there to just dick around. So
yeah, I'll definitely look
but,
forward to getting over there, man. Like, you said you're gonna make me some barbecue chicken, man. I'm gonna hold you to that, dude, because I definitely definitely gonna yeah, man. Again, I love it. People are like, man, you're gonna go to FD in the US. I'm like, dude, business wise, it's actually a better move for me to go over there because more of my I don't get Japanese customers. Number one, my style. I don't speak. I'm not fluent in Japanese. My style of service is faster than Japanese, and they're used to having 3, 4, 5 months to save their money to get an engine build. I'm like, dude, I'll be done in 3 weeks. Like, we're not doing this in 4 months. Like,
dude, just come and work. If you're working that fast, just move to England.
Yeah.
There's a ton of work for you.
They're so I mean, and I just completed the engine build GTR. And even with the setbacks, I got sent RB30 bearings versus RB26, which are different. And I had to order. And even with that, I still completed the engine build completely. It was like within about 35 days. And I'm like, dude, the hardest, the longest thing is parts.
We're we're super lucky here because we have a couple of really big suppliers, and the guy that builds my engines, Dave at DY, like he's like a full-on machine shop. So
nice.
It just kind of doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
And then the only other machine shop that like does work of that quality, like if it's needed. So if he's too busy and I need something done, one of the other big shops is literally like 10 minutes away from where I live. So I live, Silverstone Racing Circuit.
Yeah.
I live like 10 minutes from that, 15 minutes away from that.
And Silverstone.
That's where the Lamborghini money went, by the way.
Okay. So that was I feel like I don't want to Silverstone. Do they do any events there anymore as far as drifting, or is it kind of more like special?
Yeah, so we do demos occasionally. Like I did one earlier this year, and it's fun because you're in like 4th or 5th gear, like it's fast. But like, yeah, we don't really do competitions there, which is a shame because, back in the day, like it was pretty much the home of UK drifting.
Right.
But management change, people change, circuit managers change, and I think with drifting, like we still have this stigma of it being unprofessional.
Yeah.
Whereas,
100. I know what you're saying. 100%. I had to, the first year I was open here, I had to let guys know that yes, I drift, but I also do time attack and blah blah blah. Because they had this thing, this dude like straight up asked us, "Hey man, I know you drifters like to do things half-assed." He said it to my face, so I gave him respect for that. But I let him talk and I corrected him. I was like, "I've also been doing this, for as long as you've been in school and blah blah blah." And I showed him some of my work, and he's like, "Oh, I just throw drifters, zip tie everything or paint everything with spray paint." It's like, yeah, we have, but this is different. So now people realize, I drift, but I don't even when they drift stuff, they'll pop the hood on like a car that looks ratty and it's like clean, like I'm like, yeah, dude, you gotta. It's just, yeah. The body can be whatever.
I think it surprises people when they actually come and look at the cars.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm pretty fortunate that I've been able to look around some very professional racing cars that are just junk.
Yeah.
Just really poorly put together, like slapped together. And they might work and they might be fast, and they serve their purpose. That's great. But like, don't be looking down on people who are building things with much less of a budget with their own two hands. Yeah. Especially in the area I'm in Silverstone, there's a lot of very wealthy people with a lot of cool cars, and some of them are definitely like hold themselves in high regard. And it's kind of like, well, did you buy your car or did you build your car?
And also, are you racing or are you going to Cars and Coffee like that? That's guys, I get a hard thing because I don't they're like, oh, you're a shop, you should go to the. I'm like, dude, that's not the car meet. Nothing against them, but that's just not my crowd, dude. That's just not my.
No, and that's fine. Yeah, like
I know it.
There's places for those guys, and there's places for guys that want to drive like we do. I suppose.
And I told him, like, dude, like I was like, yeah, like, bro, like every car event for us is a car meet too. I mean, there's points where our cars are cooling down. If we got time, we're not changing tires. Guys will come over and mingle and talk, and it's like it's like a car meet, but we're actually active. And this is not to knock guys. Say you're spending $4,000 on a set of wheels, and you just go and sit there in a parking lot, and you talk about in theory what your car could do. When I went to one event. I was in the area. I stopped there, and the guy was being like a dick, dude. And I'm like, dude. I looked at his couplers. I could see he didn't have a bead roll on none of it. He went got a universal intercooler kit, and he just hacked it and put the couplers on. I was like, dude, I'll do one corner and I'll blow all your couplers off. And I just picked his car apart because he was being a dick, and he knew he knew I had a shop and everything, and he was trying to like impress this girl or some buddies around. And I just let him talk and I just like picked his car apart, and I was like, all right, man, I'll see you later, and I left. And then he was one of the guys that went around town and like, oh, this guy's a mean dude, and he talking this and this, and the dude's like, nah, dude, you try to like, you try to show your knowledge when I don't do that. If I go to a guy's shop, I don't be like, dude, I just did that. Like, whatever, dude, we do the same stuff. I don't
think
yeah.
I think now, like, as I'm getting older, I'm understanding how would I put it? Interested indifference.
Yeah. So
it's like, I'm interested because you've done something, but I'm indifferent because if I'm not and I give you my actual opinion, then you're going to say I'm mean, I'm this, I'm that, I'm arrogant, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, because the thing is like, by you pointing out somebody not having the beads rolled on their intercooler pipes, so me and you both know from experience, those pipes are going to pop off.
Exactly.
It's going to be a pain in the ass.
Multiple times.
So all you're actually doing is saying, hey, if you do that, your life is going to be better.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you give that type of advice, like, people get really upset by it because they take it as a personal judgment instead of the wisdom of experience.
Yeah. And it was more so from like, it was more so from me, myself being in D1. No, I knew better than this. I didn't have my welders, something that was on my welder, so I couldn't, dude, it was bad, bro. I had a 33 and I counted. I had, dude, it went from 2 1/4 to like, it was just fucking off. I had steel pipe, aluminum pipe. It was just bad. It was typical.
Just a mixture
low budget, no money, drifter. And, now where I run my setup, I have like setups with like 1 or 2 couplers. Everything is welded. I have multiple, because I got aluminum stuff now. So, less chance for things to blow off, V-bands here and there and everything. And I multiple D1 events, man, street legal. I blew off couplers. I had like double clamped. It was just bad, dude. And then I learned the trick on the YouTube where a guy took just a pair of vice pliers and grinded it, and he made his own little bead thing. So I did that, and that worked. But yeah, dude, I was just telling the guy that in a nutshell, he thinks he was talking to me like I don't know what he has, and I'm like, dude, I will blow all your couplers off and this and this, and I was letting him know that if you want to act like this, to make sure your car is squared away 100%, and also you want to use it. So me personally, and the way I roll is just cars are great to me, but I only care about racing, dude. I only care about racing, and because we're like you said, man, it's gonna be a point where we cannot do this in our life. It's gonna stop, and I'm just interested in pushing shit with respect, just to see how back in the day when I came up, I only dreamed of driving Mazda and driving the Bisu, and I'd done all that stuff by watching Drift Bobble. And it was just cool for me to be able to drift in the same spot at Mazda that Tsuchiya did. Feel like when you go around at that corner at the Bisu
with the white S14.
Yeah, dude, like that corner at the Bisu when he said that you just flicking and like no shit, just flicking and the car drifts itself. I'm like, holy fuck, it really. And then also, I think I told you in the last podcast, man. It's been a while. I remember feeling sick because it happened so fast where the car was over here, and I feel like my equilibrium was over here, and then it came back together mid-drift. I'm like, dude, that was crazy. It just happened. I just flicked in, and the car was in a full drift, controlled, and then it just shot out And I'm like, just like Tsuchiya said. So for me, again, man, I had my little bucket list of things I want to do when I got here, and kind of.
It's so interesting going back and watching the old stuff, because things like that, I know exactly what the feeling you mean.
Yeah.
And when you start drifting, it's all like, even when you're driving, it's completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
But then going back and rewatching it, and then I think that's when you get the most from it. Is like when you like 10 years in and you go back and watch something from the beginning and watch the Drift Bible again or whatever, and you're like, oh wow, now I understand like how perceptive those guys were and how far ahead of their time they were. Like Tsuchiya like just had such a great understanding of everything that was happening.
Yeah. And I watched it so much. I watched that thing so many times, man. Towards my style, like you mentioned before in the beginning, smoke. We can make smoke. Your car can make smoke. My car can make smoke. But I noticed my style, and the dudes were like, "Oh man, you seem like you're not power or something," because they don't see like big clouds. But then they try to follow at the track, and I'm just leaving these guys by like multiple car lanes,
dancing on the edge of grip.
Yeah, and it's that I can do the the backy stuff and all that, but there's like this line where you're like drifting and you can switch back to grip. And Tsuchiya and Rito and all those guys that I watched growing up can do that. And I like playing like on that line. I could do that. Like I'll play by myself. I'll play on that grip drift line. Then I go into a drip demo and show a line. And I was showing one guy. I had the guy in the car and I was like, I'm going to do a chase. I'm by myself, but I'm going to do a lead run. So I did a lead run. I went really deep. And then I was like, all right, next time I'm going to do a simulated chase run where I'm going to drive as if there's a car in front of me. And, he was seeing that I backed off the line a little bit, because if I was the car in front of me, he would be filling that zone. I'm kind of following him as I'm just kind of.
Yeah, you understand both lines.
I'm explaining to like the guys who don't know that your front car is kind of like a moving clipping point, if you will. So you're going to fill zones differently. And then he was like, dude, like you did the same thing, but you were like this far off. I'm like, yeah, because there will be a car there and I will be back here. So I'm like, I've been driving long enough to know where I should be, depending on who the driver is. And so I was like, yeah, man. While it looks like mundane, like we're doing the same shit over and over, there's points and everything on the tracks that you got to hit, and also situations. And I was showing a guy how to drift. He never drifted before. And then he had an RX-8, and I was just talking leisurely, full drifting, and he was like, dude, how can you talk like that and you're full fucking sideways and then switch back to grip? And I was like, also, these tires these are like low level. They were like 595, this regular 595 SS's, Federals, which are better than the ones when I first got here. And I was like, dude, when I got here, I didn't club. I didn't have sex with a Japanese woman until like my second year here. So the first year, it was just cars, man. I had a relationship back in the States that failed and whatever. So I was just cars, videos, building, and driving, dude. That's all I did every day.
Partying was definitely a massive distraction from what I actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it's so easy over there to like become like engrossed by that lifestyle.
Yeah, man.
Because I don't know, just like peer pressure, and everybody wants to go out and do this and that, and then like realistically, I could have spent more time driving. I should have bought a different car. I shouldn't have bought a JZX90. That was the wrong car for me.
Yeah. So what's your opinion on? Is your opinion on the JZX90? The stock steering was pretty decent.
Mine had some kind of knuckle, I think.
Even back. Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I got it from a Kid's Heart.
Okay, yeah, so they definitely already hit some stuff.
Oh, going back to the Vimeo thing, while I think about that, is one of the videos that I did that's kind of worth watching if you're into Sylvia's. Do you know Takayama that actually owns Kid's Heart?
I don't know him personally, but I know of him. Yeah,
so I did an interview with him about when he sort of came up with the Silati and started working with Nissan. It's really awkward interview, and like the translations are probably terrible, but it's kind of funny, and he gets his point across. So yeah, that's on Vimeo somewhere, so you can go there and kind of watch that and enjoy something old school. Yeah, it's funny. He's a super nice guy. If you've never met him, I don't know. He's really around cars anymore. I think he has something to do with exotic cars.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's like it's graduating, man. It's like you get, the money goes up, and it's like, oh, let's, because honestly, those guys, man, they just have they're a. I remember Suzuki-san at Ibisu. He was at the BMW, and then he had the S14. Then he just overnight he had like a Ferrari. Then he just exotics is all he does now. And it's a different clientele, and it's not like when those guys, you don't have to wonder if they have the money. They're good for it, and that's a comfort. Me being a business now, honestly, I don't work with drifters, man. Like being a drifter, yeah, they just know not to. They just want to get everything. I'm like, bro, I can't run my business on favors. It's not what I do. So none of the drifters ever come to my shop for anything, man, because they just, yeah.
How do you find now, like, because like here, like, kids are less and less interested in cars. Like, it seems like there's less kind of young people coming into drifting, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, drifting eventually is going to die out because the nature of the beast, right? We can't go around like burning fossil fuels in tires forever.
Well,
it's a bit like Group B.
Got an EV drift coming up, man.
I don't know about that.
It's like,
I don't know about that.
It's just like there's no noise, so you're gonna have like sound effect attached to the accelerator. That one guy didn't even make it to Long Beach. That they built the EV Corvette, and they couldn't run it because the batteries, they didn't have a fire extinguisher for it. But yeah, man.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, they didn't. They cleared all that stuff, and nobody asked about the fire extinguisher. Sent to the steward. Was like, hey, dude, if this thing this is going to be a thermal. Yeah, it's going to be a thermal runaway or whatever you call it when a battery just runs away.
Yeah. It's because it's a reaction, and once it starts, you can't stop it. Yeah,
it's just going to burn for like 2 weeks. But so he was like, nah, dude. Long Beach is like, nope, not on my course, man. So they cut that down. I never seen that car again. They just spent all that time on it. But yeah, man, like you said, it's definitely you see Shinji Manawa, a kid is 12 years old, already has a full ride with I think it's Cusco, and then he's doing cool videos with Daigo. So there's a lot of over here, I think, and in Europe I think it'll still be, but I'm not sure in America, man, because now for example, Pro Spec, those cars not Pro Spec, man. They're like they're all like the same level. They just don't have the points to get up there yet.
Yeah, it's the same here. Yeah. Like the Pro 2 level is still like there's guys in Pro 2 with this
same caliber,
effectively the same build that like guys are winning Drift Masters with. It's like it's
that whole thing, man. That whole my ideal in it is again, a lot of people are using it for different for me now with the business, man, everything I do is promotion of business. That's all. I mean, results are cool, but people just want to see your stuff in action, your work in action. Of course, I built, tune, all that stuff myself. So my reason is a little bit different now. It's actually more refreshing. I don't have any sponsors. It's all me. I cut everybody off because the way it kind of went down when I started my company. So now my sponsors or whatever are just my other business partners, and that's it. Because I get a better deal being a dealer than I did being a driver. And even though I was still beginning at that time, and it changes with the levels, and of course you get more as you win and all that stuff like that. But
I think you touched on something there that's probably quite important for people that.
What's that?
That like aren't really versed in dealing with sponsors, and you say you cut your ties and turn it into business relationships, but sponsorship is a business relationship.
Yeah.
Like you need to provide something positive in terms of numbers, in terms of sales, in terms of feedback, in terms of trust in a product.
Right.
So like if I use a product and I don't break it, like that's a big deal because I break everything.
Right.
Like I'm real good at breaking parts,
Yeah.
So I think that you saying that you've cut everything back and turned it into business relationships only. Well, that makes more sense to me than just like trying to scrabble around for parts or money. You know,
Yeah.
you need to develop that relationship
Yeah.
where,
And
as a business owner, you're in a better
right.
position to give value to a sponsor
Yeah,
than you are
exactly.
as just like
100%.
me, for example. I'm not a business,
Mm.
you know, but then I pull some numbers, and you know, for whatever reason, sometimes people listen to the things I say.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
I
100%,
think
100% valid, man. The with
mm,
that stuff is and I said a bunch, and I always bring up Daigo not because those are the most, as far as worldwide. If you in the drift scene,
like high
you've heard
profile.
their names,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So the JRs and all that stuff. It's like I can have a product, and for example, I over the last 5 months I've been developing my coilovers, which the reason I did it is because I did the numbers, and I've installed in the last 3 years, I've installed about $59,000 worth of other people's stuff, and then it got to a point where I told them in the beginning where I wasn't gonna buy 50 boxes of coilovers a month, and they said I told them this, and then when we get to 2 years, 3 years into the relationship, they're like, hey man, when you gonna buy big numbers? Like, dude, I'm cooked to order, so I buy as the customers need, and then they start ignoring me. And I'm like, dude, I've done way too many videos, promotions, different things. Well, I mean, I've spent money, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to promote your stuff, and then you're ignoring me now. So, hey, I'll make my own stuff. So that's where we at. And I got, by being close to these guys, I've gotten partnered with manufacturers, and I started to develop my own stuff. So now I got my own in-house coilovers, my own brand. And then, for example, people say, well, how's it better than XYZ coilover? I was like, dude, I guarantee you, if I send a set of these coilovers to Daigo, and Daigo drifts on them, and then he gives it a thumbs up, it's just because he put his thumbs up on a video, and people pay people to do that, and I'm not going to do that. It'll be like the next. They'll be up there with the other ones and everything. And I've drifted on. I've had Olin's, I've had KW, I've had Aragosta, I've had BC. I've drifted on all of them. And there's clearly shit coilovers and good coilovers. There's like, there's external tanks, little damper control, different oils, different rates, different diaphragms that mix up things. And to be able to work back and forth. So I've done 4 to 5 prototypes, different discs, different valving, different oils.
I saw you post them somewhere.
So,
Facebook maybe.
That was after I just posted it because I'm in the final stages, but I was working on it. I didn't say nothing to nobody. And so now we're on the 4th test and the final test, and after I do this test, it'll be like, all right, I'm cool with this oil, and this is the one I want to run, because it had different, getting more technical, about this stuff, but the oil control and the damper rating, it really control like how you rebound when you go over a bump and it settles, or when you go over a bump it's still reacting, then you go over the next bump and now it's reacting to the new bump plus the last bump. And this manufacturer, this is the 3rd manufacturer I've been through, and the quality, the back and forth between,
I finally got it right, kind of
because
thing.
that Stewie makes his stuff, man. But the hardest thing for him, he was trying to find a reliable manufacturer, and that's the hardest thing in the process, is because you're spending thousands of dollars in shipping and everything back and forth, and they like, this manufacturer's the quality is good, the response time is good, it's good. So it's like, when I order something, I'm not waiting 5 days to place an order, and I went through that before. So so people ask me when there's BC and TN and XYZ, I'm like, dude, it's simply my product, and if I had these coils, I would have sold. It would have been my money, not another company's. And the guy, unfortunately, he see the thing and he didn't respond. And, it's like, I knew it. A guy that cared about a relationship would respond, hey, man, why don't you make your own coils? No response is like, hey, whatever, good life, good luck and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and nothing personal, but I just learned a lot. And I learned while I was with for 5 years that I don't need to have all these sponsors on the cars, because the guy Wataru Saito that knocked me out of the top 16 had 1 sticker on his car, and he was a badass drifter. And he didn't fucking doesn't. So I thought that was a thing, and that was a phase that I had to go through myself to understand that that's not a thing.
I think sponsorship, like you said, it needs to be mutually beneficial and right for the time and what you're doing. So
Yeah.
if you know, the trouble is there's a lot of drivers need sponsors to be able to operate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that puts you in a position where you're taking whatever you can get.
Yeah. And that's what I did. Yeah.
Rather than, working with people that are mutually
Right.
beneficial
And being
to both parties.
analytics, and the biggest thing was everybody who approached me or I approached, like, they were intrigued by the way that I marketed other people, because that's one thing, man. I'm loyal until it's not there anymore, and then I'm like, all right, later, dude. Like, this is not two-way street. It's just one-way street. And they were seeing how I was, like, get the product. I tested privately, then I put it on YouTube and things, and they were like getting sales right away. And it was just one of those things where, again, I was doing divisionals, it wasn't having good results there. And one thing the best advice I got from a company that's millionaire is Ken at Njuku. He was like, dude, he was like, dude, like, you had bad results, right? But he was showing me how many sales I made off my video. He was like, dude, people are coming here because they see an American in Japan doing D1 divisionals, but it's still D1. And now they're buying this part and buying that part. He's like, bro, it's about the numbers. I would take your numbers versus a guy that wins first place, but he has no personality. He has no presence online. He can't sell parts. And he was like, you're selling more parts than this guy. And he did mention the guy, and I was like, huh? How? He just...
I think that's authenticity, though.
Yeah. I'm like,
because you're authentic. Like,
you
might be
faking it. Yeah.
Exactly. You might be a bit blunt sometimes because you say what you think, but what you say is authentic. And I think I'm similar in the sense of, like, I won't tell somebody to use parts or buy things that I don't use myself.
100%.
Because then I'd just be, for want of a better expression, I'd just be full of shit. Like, I'd just be churning numbers out. Like, you could have the big thing is, like, energy drinks, right?
Oh, man.
So that's still a big thing. Red Bull, all these guys go, oh, we got this new energy drink. We'll give you $10,000 to run your pro. I can't sell stuff that I think is junk.
Yeah.
But if you sell water, you sell bottled water, or you sell, like, vitamins or something that's decent. Oh yeah, hell, I'd love to get involved in that.
Because imagine an energy drink next to you when you had that picture of the barbecue chicken with look like some kind of a mushroom, or you had some, like,
it's a mushroom,
mushroom, and you can look at that. That doesn't scream a guy that slams monsters. That's good eating.
No, that stuff is horrendous for you.
Yeah, dude. Like, so it's like 100%, man. Like that. It just again, man. It just that's why I like you, man, because it goes towards, like, your morals and values, and, like, so many people will take that. And I've now, with the experience I gained from, number one, my thing, and I told guys, I had a video I did on YouTube about sponsorships, and I was like, dude, if the company's not willing to put in writing what they're going to provide to you and what your responsibilities are, that's not a sponsorship. It's more of a, like, they're just using you for free, post this, post that, and it's not a real thing. So when they drop you or ignore you, there's nothing legally binding, which, I mean, you got to be giving away a lot of money in parts.
I think it doesn't, things like that, and unless you're at a certain level and there's numbers involved, someone's like, for a set of coilovers or some wheels or something like that, you don't necessarily sign contracts. If it's 4 wheels, if it's 20 wheels, that's, from a sponsor's perspective, that's a big investment. That's a lot of money. Even one set of wheels, if for a smaller business, is a lot of money. It's all relative, So I think it depends what level you're at, where, do you need a handshake, or do you need, I think, actually, no, I'll change what I'm saying. I think at any level, you don't need a contract, but you do need a piece of paper that says, hey, this is what I'll provide, and this is what you
100%,
expect.
100%. And that's what I didn't even ask for. There was actually a couple companies that actually did, and they were like, they actually, hey, check this, read this first, sign this, we agree to this. And of course, I read it really quickly. I was just hyped to, have feel like I'm moving up in the thing, and I signed it and sent it back. And then, like, it was, I could tell by the response after about a year or so that they gave me a discount. I didn't get anything free. I paid for everything, but I could tell they weren't getting the kickback that they felt. And then it turned from like being very responsive to emails to being like, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And then when they did email back, it was like a yes, no, maybe. I'm like, all right, dude, I went outside of all this shit, man. It's like, it's man to man, and like respect is a big thing. And at the time I'm fucking in Iraq fighting wars. So it's like, yeah, dude, when he speaks of time and stuff like that, I'm like, dude, it's not, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and I just stop email. So one thing I didn't do is when I had bad experiences with various companies, I didn't go online and blast them. I just stopped posting it because I don't know who they know. And I just stopped buying their stuff. And, then they message me here. I'm like, nah, dude, that we're not cool. And I tell them why. And then that's the end of the conversation. But I just felt like, one thing for the guys listening and watching out there who are just new to this, like I said in my video, look it up, how to get sponsorships. Like you want to build yourself up first. And you got to go towards these companies and tell them why they need you, and you're not asking for this and this, because they're probably good and they don't really need you. So I just think a lot of people that think they have to have these guys. And when you're talking about big sponsors, like, you got to have like some, yeah, man, it's not.
I always feel really weird about sponsors or like trying to gain sponsors when you're going in like cold. Cold calling. Like, hey, I want your money. Like, help me out.
Yeah, dude. It's like, is this spam?
It's like, oh man, I just feel really reluctant to. Yeah. So like I've done a lot of drifting stuff, and I feel really reluctant to kind of try and get sponsors, because I feel like it's like I don't a lot of the time the things that people say to me, like, oh man, you made this big difference to my life, and like, I bought this based on you, or I've ordered this because of you, like,
right.
I find it really difficult to accept that people actually listen to anything I say.
Yeah.
Half the time I just think I'm an idiot. Like, what am I doing? Why would I not?
Nah.
But when people connect like that, like, I don't really know how to package it and turn it into something that I can present to a potential sponsor and say, hey, I use your products. I'd like to work with you, because I don't really want to approach people that like I don't know, just sell stuff that I don't use, like a general parts retailer that just sells, how am I gonna tell people to buy Sparko seats when really my favorite seat is a Bride, or it just doesn't make sense.
That's 100%, man.
Here's my battle.
Yeah,
it didn't go too good.
100%, man. Check, I didn't.
But that's that's back to what we were saying. It's authenticity. So, like, how to go about marketing yourself without sounding like a dick, to be frank. Yeah. So this is the trouble. Like I was saying about drag racing to the start line. I think that guy has 640 horsepower, and I'm like probably 430 that day because of the heat.
Yeah, and so kind of watching this and kind of going back to what I said in the top of the podcast. I'm just gonna. I mean, I've been away so long. Like, seat time and competition is definitely needed. So the lower, like, because after, if you disappear for 2 years, you got to go back to divisionals and start all over and all that stuff, and MSC. And it's like a lot of those guys I'm seeing now. When I took a buddy to divisionals in Mobara, and I had a dude. I was like, he was like, oh man, I'm gonna do this and do that, and I was like, all right, cool, yeah, we'll see tomorrow, dude. And we get there, and his fucking face just like, he look around like, oh shit, dude, that's that guy. Like, I'm like, yeah, dude, these guys they're fucking pro guys, man. They just had to research again. They just had to go back and do this stupid event, get top whatever, get 1 point, and then they go to street lights and then whatever else. Oh man.
Yeah, my mistake. But I was very torn with. I could have gone back into the lower class down Pro 2 or into Pro, but like, I guess a lot of people wondered why. Maybe nobody cares. I don't know. But the reason I went into Pro was I'd rather be in Pro and people say he shouldn't be in here than be in Pro 2, the lower class, and people say this is unfair. you know, because then it's the difference between people like thinking that like I'm not skilled enough to be in that class, or that I'm too skilled to be in a class, in the sense of like that's almost like, to me it's almost like cheating.
All right, but I mean,
So I had a mentor, a Japanese guy, and he one piece of advice he gave me was that if there's an easy way or a hard way, take the hard way, because you'll learn more.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I've done. So
yeah, that's 100%, man. That's yeah. I actually have a buddy that he's a really, really good buddy of mine, man. Like we've helped each other all back and forth, but I think we're similar where we'll hear a person out or friend out, and then like also tell them, like, you know, where like you see bullshit at, you know what I mean? And it's like I'm like, dude, like you constantly. I was telling my guy, I was like, man, you constantly kind of look for the easy out, like the easy way is actually not always the best way to get stuff done. You just
100%.
do it you know what I mean? Just do it the hard way, man. Like to get it done, because the easy way you're gonna sometimes have more steps involved, and you gotta do different things. And he was like, oh man, you always grind, like you're stronger. And he was like trying to big me up or whatever. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is because where I come from, Baltimore, where I know where the lows are, and even I've seen below that. So I'm very appreciative of what I have in life and what I've amassed. So like I'll step back and do a reality check. Like, again, like this event, I'm gonna, after we get done with here, I'm gonna check my messages, and like I'm gonna make a valiant attempt. I'm not quitting by any means, because I'm prepared to even pull engine out and swap things around. But the 2 engines I got, the cranks are kind of suspect. I'm not gonna take a car down there with a XYZ and spend all this money on fuel tolls and all that.
You're older and wiser. Right. You're just trying not to say the old part.
And I've done it. I've done it, man. I've took a car that I knew was shit before I left my yard or whatever, and results were expected. I did shitty.
Yeah, you set yourself up for failure.
And then also you set yourself up for people to be like, I knew he sucked. I knew, and like, just don't even give the ammo. I mean, like, if the car is great and you just fuck up or whatever, cool. But if I don't want to do that, man. I can't.
I think a very difficult lesson, and one that I've really had to learn very well over the last couple of years, is that you can't give any weight to people's opinions of you, whether it's positive or negative. It's nice when it's positive. You be appreciative of that, because like people are taking the time for you.
Right.
So, I always try and reply to messages and things like that. When it's negative, just just don't engage at all, because neither should be of significant value that they affect the course of action that you're going to take. Right. So like, I want to go drifting and I want to do well because it's for me, because that's like my life and it's my chance to go and do that. Like, and I couldn't do it when I was younger. I didn't have enough money. Now I have just about enough money, and like, I'm doing it my way, but like the value in it is for me. So like the last couple of years, especially doing YouTube and like becoming much more I don't know, popular, noticed on social media, I suppose.
Not bad.
Like it really started to distort my perspective on what I was doing and why I was doing it. So I gave a lot of weight to people saying really shit things. Like people just sending me like messages that were dumb, and like, I think like now I'm at a point where like a couple of years ago, like I say, when I started doing the championship again, I crashed pretty good, and then like I crashed again like last week or something. I couldn't give a shit what anyone says. Like I'm driving as hard as I can, as much as I can, as fast as I can, and the guys that are talking shit are sat at home.
Yeah, exactly. 100%, man.
Like
that
dude, there's one guy like sharing it like, I'm so happy this happened. It's like, what's wrong with you?
That's funny. The same thing happened to Matt, dude. I didn't realize, because I don't dig into that stuff. I knew he had some naysayers, but the guy shared it around. It was like this Formula Dirt page, and I commented something on there, and then whatever, blah blah blah, man. Because I was like, yeah, it's weird, man. I even kind of speaking on that, man. I remember back to my last event at King of Asia, about a month after that event, the car was the car was a shell 3 weeks prior to this event, a shell on a dolly, dude. I didn't sleep. I put it together, tuned it, all this stuff, man, and made top 16 out of all these cars, supported by big shops and stuff, and I built it in a one-car garage. And the people around me knew the story, and I didn't tell it. Like, I did a little video, and there was a group of Americans there that didn't like me because I told one of their dudes to fuck off for various reasons. And,
that'll do it.
I mean, because he deserved it, man. I'm a nice dude until I'm not. And they don't know me, but because of his experience, and this happens a lot even now, one guy comes here and wants to do things improper, install Alibaba parts. I'm like, I don't do that. We got to have proper parts. And, oh, man, you're supposed to do what I say. I'm like, nah, dude, get away and never come back again. And I'm 39. I got kids, wife. I don't have time for drama, dude. So I send guys away, and then they kind of, get towards 5 other dudes and say, oh, man, he was like this and this. Then I got on the polar opposite, a dude he just spent 28K in his car. He's happy as hell. His car runs great. It looks great. And he's, so I'm like, I know where I'm at, but these guys they're young, and they're 21, 22 years old, and they want a GTR with 800 horsepower and all this stuff, man. I'm like, dude, it doesn't happen here. So it's out there, and when I walk around,
but that's fine. Like, someone will make it for them.
Oh, yeah.
That's their business.
No, but what I'm saying, when I walk around here, heads all up high. I know when I walk into a building, it gets quiet, and it happens a bunch. And it's not because I'm bigger than these dudes. They know I fight and all this stuff like that. It's a physical thing. It's just I'm confident in myself, and I know that there's shit being talked, but they don't talk it around me or say it to me. So if another man is out there talking about me or whatever, it doesn't mean nothing unless he's in my face, man. If he's in my face, and we're talking as that big of an issue that we talk. Other than that, it never happens. And we're in Japan, and I don't want the energy, and I generally don't deal with that, man. But like you're saying, dude, it shouldn't matter, and it doesn't. But what I was to clear up a little bit, I had some issues with Dory 10, the way they publish things. I talked to my guy Greg and a few other guys. He's like, yeah, it's because you put yourself there as far as your car wasn't ready and you wanted to get in the magazine so bad, which I did. I knew the car wasn't ready, and they were ready to shoot, and they shot what they shot. They shot what the result the condition was in. It wasn't tested, and they put that out there. And as a result, it looks like I can't build. It looks like I can't drive. And then when I show up to the event and I drive and slay the track, they're like, oh, fuck, we thought you sucked at drift. Like, no, they captured that moment, and the car sucked. And that was it. And they wrote unfavorable, and I told them it wasn't cool, and as a result of that, then they started ignoring me, Dory 10, because I stood up for myself, and they didn't like that. So it is what it is, man. But I just learned not to, again, like, if I can't sort this issue in 24 hours, I'm going to tell them, hey, the money's already spent. I understand I can't get it back.
And that's probably the action you should have taken.
Yeah, and I didn't.
With the Dory 10 thing,
I was, younger, and I learned. And he was like, yeah, dude, that's why I didn't. I was like, man, you speak Japanese and you don't. He's like, yeah, because I had a situation and I learned it wasn't beneficial for me. And he was like, giving me knowledge on how to proceed. And, unfortunately, I didn't do any more. I did about 6 entries in the magazine. And after that, it just cold turkey. See me no more. And, yeah, I mean, you live and learn.
Yeah,
man.
but you could rectify that. Like, if you wanted to change that, then you definitely could.
I actually went back and
because it's still a dream of mine to be on the cover of Dory 10.
But they did it. They did a apology after 2 years, right? They did me a 2-page article, and everything was cool. And it's like, all right, even in the apology type of deal, which they asked us to do, they came here and interviewed me. Right at the last sentence, his buddy Takeshi translated this because he doesn't speak any Japanese. I'm like, bro, this is supposed to be the makeup, and you fucking put right in the end of the thing, just letting people know that don't go there because he doesn't speak any Japanese.
Yeah,
it's like
I know what you mean. Sometimes things like that, like things in magazines, you got to take them with a pinch of salt because it's entertainment, and I think when you have a public profile, like people are going to embellish stories
Yeah.
or like say things a certain way because it benefits them to say it that way.
Yeah.
So it might be that like he said that not to affect your business, but because it sounds funny.
Yeah.
He does all this crazy stuff and he doesn't even speak Japanese,
Yeah.
like, you could, you could be reading far more into that than
Yeah.
is necessary. Because, like what that like,
I mean,
it's like picking out
right.
like the you're like, it's the last line. That's like 1% of the
Right.
100% of article that he gave you.
Right.
Yeah. So he's giving
Well,
you
I mean,
a
I definitely. I
ton,
mean, I see things
so.
from. That's. I mean, I'm where I'm at because I can see things from multiple sides and kind of.
And that's
Yeah.
important.
The thing is, if you look every article before that, they were all made like pretty decent slights. One was a legal one where they wrote in there that I was even though I the whole pro drift shit, and I'm over that stuff, man. I've got license on the King of Asia, and I've drove with Daigo Nakamura and all these guys in the same event, but I can't line up with them in D1 because I don't have this license, a piece of plastic. And I've obtained pro license under an official sanctioned event, judged by Tsuchiya's son. They ain't no more fucking pro than that, and I make top 16. So they say all this shit, and then in the article that I'm talking about, they wrote street drifter. They labeled me as, this is Jackson, the street drifter. I'm like, bro, everybody here fucking knows I got a business, and if this gets back, because they can do that, man. I mean, we know what happened to Nakamura over video and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it gets around and it gets back, and I'm like, dude, like, so I'm a street drifter, and then they just it just kind of really. And they knew better. And they just, every article there was a slight on. And I again talked to Greg. I'm not sure if you knew Greg, but he's been here for a while, probably 30 years. And he's black Kokujin, very good at drifting, but he doesn't.
Oh yeah. I
so
know.
Greg was,
I know. I don't know him. I know of him.
Yeah, but Greg was just like, yeah, dude. They this is, I've been through some of this stuff, and you're climbing a ladder, and you just gotta work a certain way, and it's
keep fighting.
There's but I'm over it, dude. It was my business is doing well, and Japanese guys are they know, man. So when I go to the track, and I went to the track a month ago, and dude, I just slapped the whole track 2 times, dude, like cold lap, and go out there and just like slide the entire length the whole track, and I come up the track, and all these dudes like crowd the car, and he's like, oh, Sugoi, we didn't know, like, I'm like, yeah, dude, I've been here 14 years, dude. And then all the vet guys are down there. And actually, what I do, Matt, this might be a petty thing on my end. I don't park with the vet drivers. I park with the beginner guys, and I drive past all the dudes. And I park there. And when they're like, dude, why are you parking here? You're expert class. Like, because I don't need that. That parking down there doesn't validate me. And also, is more space over here. That's honestly why I park down there. Yeah. It's more space, and they're like, it showed them, I guess, they was like, well, he can park here with us. And they went out there and started drifting because they were like watching, and they were scared to go out on the track. And after I parked down there with them, I was like, dude, just follow me down here and do this stuff. And they let me go on the track. I didn't drift because they were like beginners, and in every other corner spinning out and everything. So but yeah, man, it's like, again, man, that's why I think I vibe with you, because yeah, man, it's not a lot of guys out there like us where we got so much experience but are still level-headed, and a lot of young guys can learn a lot. You don't have to be this Instagram phenom and have 2 Wisefab kits installed on a car with an LS7. And
I think you can do whatever the hell you want, as long as you're happy and you don't ruin someone else's day. Like, just do it how you want to do it. So, man. Like, I can't hang on to past like experiences or past like mistakes or even successes. Like, I just have to keep moving forwards. Because it's the only productive action to take. So, like, people have slighted me, people have said stupid things, people have said really amazing things, but like, I have to just keep moving forwards. And trying to better myself and what I'm doing. Even it comes down to like, the food you're eating or when you're eating it. Like if there's a positive effect from an action, then that's the action to take, because then it gets you the result, right?
Right.
So now Naoki's famous saying is only results matter, effectively. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that's all it is. It's like you just keep pushing for the result.
Yeah. And the result is X factor. The result means like, and for guys listening and watching, that's like anything you do. If you're in fighting, you're in a which column, you're in a this, like the results will show you like where you naturally, if you're going to the gym and you're getting your ass beat every night, everybody gets their ass beat. But if you're getting your ass beat every night, you're not getting the best of anybody. That means, hey man, maybe a little bit less Call of Duty and more training, or less McDonald's and more water.
I'd get my ass kicked, but I'm all right with that.
Yeah, man. But it's just, man. I think finding your space and being able to do things like because you want to do it. And I have an issue, man, where I'm good at auto driving, drifting, grip. I'm good at I'm learning how to. One thing I picked up last summer was riding dirt bikes. Why the hell would I add? It felt like the feeling I get when I'm riding the bikes. I'm progressing actually pretty quick because I want to do it, and also I think drifting. While we're inside of a box, man, it is wild. And I had dirt bike guys who fucking rip and do the jumps, and they get in the car with me, and I'm like doing like second gear, and they're like fucking freaking out. I'm like, dude, we're not there yet. We're not going really fast yet, but it's I'm like, bro, if we fall on a bike, you're flying, you're like going. And so I've been really. They're like, dude, why are you riding so slow on a bike? I'm like, dude, I respect this 450cc bike, and I understand that if I do certain things the wrong way, I don't have a roll cage, and also I got to work tomorrow and everything. So I'm like, I'm not going to go pro bike, so I'm just taking it easy at my own pace,
enjoying it.
And they're 21 and they're fucking ripping and broken leg next week. I'm like, dude. I mean, it's going to happen regardless, but I know.
Yeah, but when you're 21, you just bounce, don't you?
Yeah.
You just bounce and go, okay, my leg will be fixed in like 3 weeks, and I'll be riding again.
But just getting into that, man, like 38 years old is like it's something about I'm not the brain surgeon, whatever guys. It felt like cool to be new at something, like 100% new, new feelings, the vibrations, and then the progression from the. I was riding an 80cc bike, and I was like, holy shit. And now I'm on a 450 within a year, and it's like, holy shit, man. I didn't think I would touch a 450 for like 5 years. And the progression but I think also drifting and motorsports kind of, you could pull some stuff from that.
In general, like I think if you enjoy cars, you enjoy cars.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't necessarily have to be drifting or racing. It can just be all of them.
Yeah.
So I think I think I said this last time, the more segregation there is, like the worse it is for everybody, because it's all going to go.
Yeah.
It's all going to finish.
It's all going to finish, man. And then like also like the different, I encourage guys to, drifting is great. I love it. I'll do it until I can't. But I was telling dudes, hey, go do a time attack day. Go check out rally, because it's actually really kind of cool. You're seeing the coefficient of friction and you're sliding around. I met I went to the rally track last year and met a whole group of dudes that I've been here 14 years and I've never seen these guys before. Now we're buddies, and they're like, hey, come.
Oh, it's so popular there. I didn't realize. And then one day we went. Did you know YZ has a rally stage?
Dude, I didn't know Meehan had dirt bikes. I never put Meehan.
Yeah.
I never put Meehan and dirt bikes together. And the guy was like, I was like, yeah, Meehan. I was talking about Nakamura, and I was in Osaka. He's like, yeah, I know Nakamura. I passed him when I was going to ride dirt bikes. I'm like, what? Dirt bikes at Meehan? He's like, yeah. So all Ibisu has dirt bikes. All these places have.
Yeah.
But you never know, because we're there for Minami. It's like, so it's like, it's crazy, dude.
But it's, I always say, like, in Japan.
Yeah.
I always say that. Yeah. That's my token phrase. Yeah. But in Japan, like, you can just be completely unaware of things.
Yeah.
Like, if you're into drifting,
that's it.
You'll know everything about it, but nobody else realizes it happens.
Yeah.
Like, not people that live there.
Yeah, because when
grown ass adults have no idea what drifting is. There's people who don't know what, I don't know, like stupid stuff like golf.
Yeah.
People that, because golf is really popular there.
Case in point, like
people are really
initial D. I when I got here in 2008, I figured everybody that drifts knew who Takumi Fujiwara was and all these guys, and they were like initial. Nope. They were like laughing at me like, nah, we don't watch like that stuff or whatever. I was like, huh?
They're too busy driving.
Yeah. So I figured everybody at MSP would be like have initial D stickers, and it was like, nah, dude, we don't do that. We don't. I was just shocked. I was really blown away that nobody knew about it. He's like, no, that's.
It's just funny that you. I find it funny that you've done all this, like military stuff and crazy driving, and then like at the core of it, you're still just an anime nerd that was watching Initial D.
Well, that's how I got into like. Well, I mean, Initial D was the first one. I didn't, I call it a cartoon back then, but Initial D and like Gran Turismo and kind of was like the catalyst. And then, of course, I got into it and everything. So that's how I got started. Like, I didn't come from a car family. So actually, Gran Turismo Gran Turismo 1 was how I that's when I was like, why does this Skyline cost more than this Alto Works? It's like, oh, it's because you study the history on the Bathurst and GTRs and why they were banned and all that stuff. And it's like, oh fuck, man, this thing was. And then all these guys locally, they think they have that car. I'm like, nah, dude, your car is homologated and the same chassis, but $1 million less parts than that car. So it's like, you can get there after a lot of money. Like, yeah. So it's cool, man. But yeah, dude. Hey, man, I don't want to talk to you forever. And plus, I do got to get out of here, man. And we last time we talked was 2 years ago, man. So what, you have any events coming up?
That's crazy.
You have any?
Yeah. So I'm going to be driving next week in the British Drift Championship. Okay. So that's streaming online. You can watch that on YouTube.
So this weekend coming up or next weekend?
Next weekend. So yeah, practice starts next Friday. So over the weekend that'll be on.
Okay.
And then a couple of weeks after that, I'm doing an event in Scotland called Dory Fest, which there'll be some media coming out from that. I don't think it's a live stream or anything. And then a couple of weeks after that, I'm doing there's an event going on in Ireland, which is LZ Fest, LZ Festival. So it's in Adam LZ.
He's coming over.
So he's coming over, and then like a bunch of like the sort of famous drivers are going to be there. And I'm in for there's a competition on Saturday to try and qualify for the main event on the Sunday. Yeah. So I'm gonna try and get myself through to the main event. Good stuff, I'll be at that, and there might be live streaming, there might not. I don't really know. So there'll definitely be some footage.
And the S13, that's like, is that you have another drift car? Or is that your only primary one right now?
That's my drift car, yeah.
Yeah, so you got to get that. Keep that thing running, man.
Yeah, so I need to order a damper. That's what I'm going to do today. Is get a new damper insert.
Right, sorry, man. I waste your time, man. You could be ordering that stuff.
No, it's fine. It's just wobbling around, so I need to fix that.
Did it break? Did it break like at the base where it mounts up to the knuckle, or?
No. So just like where the damper actually goes in the body, I just think it's like bent or like the seals kind of.
Got you.
Like, because when I'm rocking the wheel, I'm getting a clunk, and it's coming from the top of the damper, so it's like, that's not quite right. So, like, for the cost of a damper, like, I'll just put the damper in, and that should be okay. I spent the last week fixing the all the bodywork because that was really bad. It's been a while since I've put a rear bumper back together from like 7 pieces.
This is bring back memories, man.
So it's a pain in the ass.
And like I got
the front.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the front one was just like too far gone. I had to get a new front bumper.
Yeah.
I think it's in like 25 pieces or something.
Yeah, so. I remember the one cool. I was watching an old option video, and it was Tetsuya. He was driving, the Goodyear R32. The Kid's Heart kind of affiliated, I believe.
Oh, Tezuka.
Tezuka, yeah. So he was at the JZX back in the day. They had the 81. He was that 81 was nice, and then I seen he was putting his bumper back together, and the coolest trick. I've done it a bunch, but it's actually kind of time consuming. He didn't, instead of using zip ties, he had took the metal, put it behind the thing, and drilled it.
Yeah, with rivets.
Yeah, I was like, dude.
Yeah.
When I was like, dude, I was like, and I did it, and the dude was like, man, what the fuck? You're like NASA science drifter. Like I was like, dude, that was just cool. You know, but it looked cooler to hold it together without having the zip ties crossing through there.
It's tidier as well, yeah. And then when you've put the rivet in, you can paint it with a paint pen, and it hides it.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that was dope, man. That was like he sheared in half and just like ate about 3 holes and then the rivet. And it's not, it takes about it's not, you know, if you got the gun, you just go right through it and everything. I was like, that was pretty cool, man. He painted over it, put a sticker on it, and it was good to go. So yeah, man, like you said, man, those videos behind you is a lot of. I remember I forgot his name from Dodie 10. He changed his he had changed the tire with a jack. Kawasaki.
Kawasaki.
He put the tire in between the pole and used the scissor jack to pop it off the bead, and it took it took forever to change 2 tires, but he was like, yeah, I changed the tire, and that's how many drifters have not had money to, you know, or a friend at a gas station. That's what I did. I had friends at gas stations and give them pizza from base, and they'd give me scrap tires and shit.
Well, they used to advertise those like it's like a pry bar, like an L-shaped bar with a bracket, and you could like jimmy your thing off. Jimmy your tire off.
That would suck for your Rookie Motion X whatever, because that one is like the little pry bar, and you like gotta grind on. It's like the steel wheel. The steely wheel. You know, you're not gonna scratch the paint off of there, but again, man, having a tire machine and then like having my own alignment rack, like that was, I couldn't fathom having that 10 years ago, and now to be able to do my own laser alignments in shop and all that stuff, man, is definitely, yeah, man. Even like
I'm still string. Yeah. If I have the option of like lasers or string, I will always use string.
Yeah. I mean, I could do it. I've done string for years. Try like the track out if I need to do it, but it's just nice to.
Here's an interesting one. Do you measure caster these days, or do you just? Because what I've started doing is, instead of measuring like caster on like a caster swing, like what I do is I make sure my traction links. I have like a jig for the traction links, right? So my traction links are always identical, and I set the rear of the car up, and then what I do is I measure from the rear edge of the rear wheel to the trailing edge of the front wheel, and I take like a wheelbase measurement there, and I set my caster based on that wheelbase. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So instead of doing a caster sweep, I just measure wheelbase effectively.
So when you question for you, when you're doing that, are you measuring like the front and rear to the wheelbase from the inside or the outside? Because the biggest thing I had issues with back in the day was like, let's say you crash your car or whatever. And sometimes that was the only time. I mean, the string will get you in a ballpark. Is like you'll have different body panels protruding out, or one fender is off this side, so now the string, instead of going straight back, is kind of being pushed that way. So do you do yours like you have a pipe off the side of yours, or how do you?
So I have like a professional motorsport thing that like clips on the car, and then you level your box out like it's all adjustable. And then when you're taking your tape measure on the rear wheel. So I do it from the rear edge of the rear wheel, so I can follow the line of the tape. Follow the line of the string, so it's level, and then I literally follow the string to the trailing edge of the front wheel. Because obviously, if you're at the lead edge, then you've got a lot of distortion from like camber and toe.
Right.
So that's why I go from there. So, like running that way, I found my car is driving much better because a lot of people here use the Hunter system. And when you put the Hunter system, when you put your blocks on and do a sweep for caster, like it will tell you that the caster is like, I don't know, 7, for example, but like it'll be 7 there and 7 there, but the wheelbase on one side of the car will be longer or shorter than the other. It's the most common mistake I see with setting Sylvia's up. So like, I started doing it that way because the Hunter will tell you it's correct, but in reality, it's your car's shifted. Right. So even if you've smacked it, like if the rear wheels are in the same place, then the front wheels have to be in the relative. They're in the same place to each other. That makes sense. Right, it does. So I've just found I'm getting better results doing it that way. And like, I have no idea what my caster is now because I haven't measured it for like 3 years. Like I did it when I first did the car, and then ever since then, like when I did the S15, and ever since then, it's just like,
Well,
nope,
it is quicker too.
do it with string.
It's weird, man, because I have I did the string for a bunch and everything, and also one tool I like. I had buddies before the IKEA Formula kit, but that would kind of sometimes you bolt it onto the things, and it would if you have one wheel at 2 point or minus 2 point whatever, then the other one they kind of would throw it off. But the yeah, man, I had the alignment rack at my shop. I remember my shop, and I was setting the S14. And I got so used to doing it so long before I had a rack, and I don't honestly I use it with the suspension jobs. I don't really. It was a bundle deal, so I took it. So I didn't really need it, but it was just a convenience. So I got that with my 2 4-post lifts, and but yeah, man, I don't really fire that thing up, man, unless it's like I'm doing something particular or whatever. So yeah, I have it, and I was outside in front of my alignment rack with a string. I'm like, it's kind of weird, man. Because I mean, I got what I needed. I got it straight. Will was straight. And this being able to biggest thing I had to learn back in the day was I thought it was magic was learning how to center a rack. Because the biggest thing I fix here.
Simple stuff that.
And it's like the little notch right on that. I didn't know that little notch, but sometimes that plastic part comes off, it spins around, or it doesn't indicate. So I've did that mistake too of aligning the mark to the pinion, and it's not. The plastic just came up and rotated, so it wasn't centered. So then I learned how to count the teeth, and then turn. It's like the biggest thing I see the guys have the work spell and they put it on crooked. So now they're the wheels is like that, and it's just weird. So
the motion range.
The racks
so I do it So I just do it like the mechanical way, as in like take off the tie rods, and then see how many turns I've got one way and how many turns I've got the other, and then physically, like clock it so it's in the center, and then adjust the wheel, and then reattach everything, then align it. So
it's
same result.
Yeah, man.
Your way is the proper way.
No, it works, man. I just got that. And the one tool I do like that I use a bunch is it's just a little lock to once you get it centered. Because I remember back in the day, I didn't know I was pushing on it, and then I would go to put the tie rod on, not knowing that I pushed. I didn't lock the ignition, and so now it's shifted over. So then I adjust the card, and I'm like, oh fuck, now I got one wheel is like this, the other one's like that, and it's it's cool to be able.
I got like like a sealant gun.
Yeah.
So it's like a sealant gun with a big disc, and you just ching. Yeah. So the trouble is, my bucket seat's so low, I have to put like a piece of wood, and then
man. This is the tricks of the trade, man. This is one of the cooler things, man. To I remember back, dude. I didn't grasp the concept of. Like this is back before guys don't like caster and stuff like that. But just like I was like, man, I spend it this way to pull it in. It screwed me up for a long time until I got with a guy, and he was like, yeah, dude, you just put it like this, and you gotta don't look at it from you eyeball it. You gotta look straight on and all this stuff. He showed me the tricks to do it. And when I learned the string method, I was like, holy shit, this is like NASA level stuff here, man. So it's pretty,
NASA.
It's pretty cool, man. But hey, brother,
I think it's quite good to so like with the whole like the caster wheelbase thing and all that. I think it's quite good to get away from numbers that give you an idea of how your car is supposed to drive. Right. So like a lot of people say, oh, what caster do you run? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's very it's very freeing because it's not like, if you run like, I don't know, some people run like 8 and like, oh yeah, your car must self-steer. It must do this. It must do that. Or you run 5 and, oh, that must be really hard to drive. And, like no self-steering or whatever it is. Like, I think it's really good to look at caster as wheelbase because it means that when you're driving, you're not chasing a number because somebody told you it's what it should have. Right. You're chasing the feeling that you want from the steering.
For you, yeah.
So the number becomes inconsequential. Because I don't, because I've been looking at casters so long, I don't equate wheelbase to being a particular feeling. I just think like, oh, this looks okay. It's probably all right. And then if I drive it and I'm like,
Yeah.
ah, man, like it feels a bit dead. Like
Yeah.
I'll adjust it to steer more or steer less. You
Yeah.
know,
No, that's
it's a
true.
lot less
That's true.
complex to deal with because you're dealing with what actually, like Naoki says, only the result,
Mm-hmm.
and not the number or the process or any other distraction. It's only the result of what you do.
100%.
So.
And that goes along too with the like, 'cause the only thing I don't have to like complete my shop, and I'm working with a partner now to get one for a promotion thing, is like a dyno. For example, when I do my tuning, I tune on the track, and that the guys are, they got so force fed with dynos and things like that. They're not gonna understand if you don't have a track available. I got MSP 45 minutes away. I have ASP about 50 minutes away. The dyno is a tool to get yourself numbers, and there's certain things that you would have to tune on there for. But now with the advantage of the Haltech Link and all these advanced ECUs, it's not like the old days where you had to have you had to do all this micromental tuning and you had to get all these little increments, because the bass tunes are really, really good. And that's one thing a lot of tuners won't tell you. The bass tunes are really good to expand upon, get your car started, and then you twerk it, you tweak it to your setup. So a lot of guys are hell bent on, like, if it ain't tuned on a dyno, it's not that. I'm like, and I told guys, I'll put my money on the line, dude. Take a track tune car with what is not simulated load, is not an eddy brake that's slowing things down to simulate traction, because that's what a good dyno does. You have the real ambient temps, you got real tire, you got real everything putting it down, because I've had a partner, got his car tuned at a shop here, and I was like, this is my tune, and this is what my car feels like, and this is your tune on a dyno. So I'll run up and all this stuff like that, but it doesn't correlate to the actual feel,
real world situation.
Real feel, yeah. So so when I tell them, like, dude, it's just a really, really, really good fine simulation tool. It simulates the road. And the reason I want one is because 6 months out of the year, it is a problem. It is between Imasawa, you've been up here, between November and April, man. It's
just snow.
So it's like I don't drive my truck anymore. That's one thing. I don't drive my Carrier no more. And now I got to try to get. So I got a couple of shops I work with, but it's now becoming a. It was nice when I was the first couple of years, but now that I've been around 6 years now, they're not really as willing to help me anymore. You can call it business and whatever, and I understand. So when I call them for a spot, it's like, yeah, I'm busy, and I call them back for a spot next week. Oh, I'm busy. I'm like, all right, I get it, dude. So so for the winter months, I do kind of, because that's 6 months that I can't tune. I can't. The tracks I still.
Yeah, so you could achieve a lot with it.
Yeah, so I mean, but it's a guys are weirded out that they believe that if it ain't dyno tuned, it's crap, dude. That's not my theory, and my theory is different. And I've talked to other Japanese tuners that have the same theory, and I actually developed some stuff for them. And one guy has a dyno, but he Agent K. He tunes all of those Andy stuff and Sumika and all those guys. I was like, I'm going to a shop, right? He's like, no, we go North Course. I'm like, huh? Yeah, this is best setting. So he's like, he's sitting in the car and he's like, all right, okay, full throttle, and okay, stop. And then he's like, yeah. Then dude, that car, I was like, holy shit, dude. Like this fucking dude, man. Like, yeah, dude, I was blown away. And that him set up and me talking to him, we had dinner, and I thought dyno was it. That's what I was taught, growing up, that, hey man, if it ain't dyno tune, it's crap, this and this. And a number game is a number game, but the track results, you can have 500 horsepower and it doesn't do what we needed to do between these points and this apex on this,
100%. And that's like, I think that's there's a lot of number chasing happens in the Western world.
Yeah.
Like,
unfortunately.
Whereas, like, I think I really, really want the guys here to work with some of the Japanese tuners, just so they can kind of get a bit more involved with what they're doing. Because there's some, when I've driven cars mapped in Japan, there's just something extra about them. It's just crisp.
They're crisp.
Really
crisp. Yeah.
Like, especially with an SR, like, there's just something far more like I don't know how I would put
No,
it.
I know exactly because
It's like that
Yeah.
that crispness, that response, that urgency
yeah,
is different.
Yeah.
And like I'm not a mapper. Like I know like a little bit,
dude.
but so it's very hard to sort of
know what
say,
you-
hey,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
this, you know.
because when it was a pride swallowing thing because again I've been tuning since 2006, and with the whole tuning thing for the guys still listening and watching to this point, it's not like
Well done.
It's not like a university that you go to. With the separation between tuners and not is that we sit down and we read all the shit. We read all the books. We do a lot of trial and error. We do a lot of mess up our own stuff sometimes to try things out. Because there ain't no fucking tuner out there to say they didn't blow something up before. They want to limit that. I haven't blown any customers' cars up, but I have blown some of my own stuff. Advanced timing where I should have pulled back and trying different things. And when I got a customer car in, and I don't copy nobody's tune, but I learned how they achieved it because I can kind of see it. And it's little stuff, man. It's little advancements where you normally wouldn't put timing. You wouldn't normally put timing there. You would pull it and you would have it normal, but they put timing in certain places that when I got an SR in, I had a 2.2 SR and a 32, man, that fucking thing was just so, it was an old school KKK turbo kit and it just like you rev it and it's just like,
Bam,
yeah,
bam.
dude. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. And you drive it and it was like, dude, this 2.2 liter SR, like it makes my 25 with a big turbo and it feel weak. And I'm not, and I'll be honest, I'm not I've driven some really good SRs, but I haven't built any myself personally, and I want to do one up. And people think I hate them. I don't hate them. I like RBs, man. Like
SR is my favorite engine. There's nothing with.
I can tell, man.
It's the torque response.
You sold that Lamborghini and bought a bunch of 2.3 liter kits and everything, man.
Yeah, of course I did. What else am I gonna do? But the response time between what you do with your foot, like. You sit there and rev a car. It's
it's quick.
but like when you're up in the RPM with an SR, like you touch the throttle and it's bam instant, bam instant. Like there's nothing
I know
that drives
exactly what you're talking
that.
about, dude.
Like the RBs and Js, they're all cool and everything, but an SR. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. I just had an RB in from. It came in from. I'm not sure who tuned it, man, but I think Akuna-san maybe tuned it AJK, and that RB had that same. Seemed like I was like, man, my tunes are good, but it doesn't have that. And I was like, man, fuck is a tune. I'm like, I don't want to admit that, but I was like, dude, whoever tuned this RB, like that shit had an upgraded cam, like it was not stock, but it was like I forgot what duration it was, but it was a cam, and yeah, man, it had that same RB. It was revving like a SR, like it had that same like it smacked the RP.
That quickness.
And I drove it, I'm like, holy shit, man. Like this is, dude. Yeah, it's like,
The benefit of experience.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, I've been doing it for this long, but they've been doing it for that long. But their thing and where they're weirded out when they come to my shop is they'll see a JZ RB, which come and it is, they think that, it's good and bad. I don't agree with it, but they want to do one thing, and that's just kind of their culture bleeding into the tuning thing where they just do rotaries or they just do 2Js. And I'm like, dude, that same knowledge you have is timing is timing. Nuts and bolts are nuts and bolts, and you can learn it too. Their mindset is just, I can only do SR. I can only do 13B. I can only do 4G6.
I think that's like a Japanese mindset though, like that's specialized. Approach to things. Like I don't want to set up, because I do suspension settings and things for some people, and I don't really want to do anything other than Sylvia's. Like I probably could, but when I set up a Sylvia, I know, like I am confident I will make that car drive awesome, because that's what I know my shit.
Right. 100%.
Like, I'm competent, but if you ask me to set up like, I don't know, Chevy Nova, Chevy Nova or an Altezza or something else.
Oh no,
I don't know that chassis as well, so I can't take that car out on a test run and be like, yeah, this is it, or no, I can get more out of this.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is one thing is like I know a lot about suspension, but ask me to sell some fucking leaf springs. I'm like, nah, dude, you got the wrong guy here. I don't do leaf springs. Like that's just not. And that's I think that's one of the what my business, man. People are weirded out when I say I'm really good at all the stuff I do, but if it's something like I'll say straight up, no, I don't have. That's not in my. I have a folder full of all these customer jobs, and the one you're wanting, it's not in there, which means I can do it, but it's like I got to do some research on it. And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Yeah, shop owners don't fucking know everything, man. We know a lot of shit, but I admit that, hey, man, let me do some research on this. Let me see the rates, the spring rates that normally go here. And because I got my other knowledge, I can easily draft it over and learn it in 3 hours. I can learn it quickly. It doesn't mean I don't know it, but I tell guys, hey, let me give me whatever. Let me check it out. And generally by my system, because I email, I actually don't have to ask them that, because in the email, that's why I do email, and I don't do stop drop-ins. If they drop in and say, hey, I want to do this, this, and this, now I'll tell them straight up, hey, let me get back to you, whatever. But my everything is by appointment only. But it's kind of they'll feel like, oh, I can only do GTR. So the guys who have JZXs think I don't do. I'm like, I build JZ engines. They're easier than RBs.
I think it's potentially a demand from the customer as well, though, because if the customer feels that
100%.
They want that like specialized service, then they'll go for that. If they want someone who they can bring, because people have a Toyota, a Nissan, and a Mazda family car, and they might want to bring them all to the same shop, and then they need you. So being able to sort of vary that, and your customer base is like a lot of them are American guys on the base, I guess.
Well, it would appear so, but actually, man, to this day, if I relied only on base, I wouldn't last. Like, there's a lot of my own. I saw. I saw a lot of cars, and the export thing is there. But yeah, a lot of not a lot. 100% of the guys are. I've only had 4 Japanese customers in 6 years.
Wow.
So the guys who get work done are definitely all American. I've even had guys bring cars from Kanagawa up to here because the nature and the way the shops there want to do things. I'm like, dude, it's just number one, they don't know how to shop around, and they have like the cookie cutter. They want to push you these parts, and if you don't want this package, and that's their partners. I understand that, but at the same time, like my job is not. I'm not a parts store. I got the coilovers now, but I'm not a parts store. I'm a performance shop, so I can get this part, blah blah blah. As long as it's quality, as long as it's backed, and as long as it's not some Acme shit, I can install it. And it has good backing, but they kind of get into the they want to push this package, and they just slow the way they operate, and they get the car on a lift and think about it. I'm like, dude, this shit is not new, man. This is S13 has been around.
But I think your versatility in that sense is what's keeping those customers with you, and it sort of says it all. That you've only had the 4 Japanese customers. That like completely confirms exactly what I'm saying, because Japanese consumers, want to go, hey, I've got an RX-7. I'm going to go to the RX-7 shop. Yeah. In the same way that like they have their favorite golf club shop, or like their favorite bookstore. It's the same thing. Like, you'll get a certain bookstore that will sell more of whatever magazine they like, and they'll go to that one like religiously.
100%, man.
So I think I think it just confirms that. So the fact that you can sustain a business like that in Japan is, pat yourself on the back, because that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Like, I'm smart. One thing I don't I it's weird, man. I don't rely on them, but I mean, they definitely, the guys who come, I'm grateful for it, but is location is everything. I mean, I'm good. I'm confident. I'm good at what I do. But let's say I open up, like, I go to Chiba. There's Teps, my guy Khan's son, who I think is actually cool in the Top Secret. And then you got Top Secret across the street, and they had their thing in Top Secret. I told the guys what was potentially.
Oh, is he on the same street then?
Dude, you can literally kick a football from one to Teps to Top Secret. So is he like, because obviously it's Top Secret, and then CBY is just over the street, right? I think I don't know about that. I just know about I met Kansan because I blew a pump. I went there and he has like Nissan shit galore, and he's like, it's a little alleyway, and then it fucking opens up to fucking Skylines and GTRs everywhere, and then Top Secret is right there, and honestly, it's man, I don't know, man. I just think I looked at it, I was like, oh cool, Top Secret, but I didn't even go because I know they had history with foreigners and they didn't want, and I understand now that they have a business. You don't get work done when guys are just constantly popping in. So they got that rope up there that says no, only appointments only. Yeah. And I'm surprised it took them long to do that, but
I was probably one of the first guys there that annoyed them.
Yeah.
I think we turned up in 2002. Yeah. And we walked from Chiba station.
Yeah.
So we walked from the station to Top Secret.
Yeah. Yeah, they got tied. Yeah, dude, so you're definitely early because it was 2000. It was like 13 or whatever when I drove a Mobile the first time, blew an oil pump, and I met Kansan through his customer who had she had a 30 is a Miyako, badass girl driver, man. She had a 32 dude, it sounded like a fucking rotary, like it was bah, 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 and the RP, she was killing it, and Kansan tuned her car. And she was like, Teps. And I was like, so I met him, and it was just like the best breakage ever because I met a really cool guy that I talked to frequently. And then and it was cool that Kansan was on a spectrum lower than Top Secret, but I felt that his shop was cooler because he was more personable, and it had the vibe was, Top Secret seemed like they just catered towards like doctors, and they work, they
elite people.
They've earned it, but now that the tuner passed away, and multiple guys have they realized they pulled the maps, and I as a tuner I kind of
who passed away?
Top Secret's lead tuner.
Not Smokey.
Not Smokey. The actual tuner because the actual like mapping guy.
Oh right, okay.
So I forgot his name, but
that sucks.
Yeah, he passed away, and
I know the guy you mean. Yeah.
So when he passed away, what happened with that was he passed away with all those lock codes in his mind. Like cause that's one thing I don't do. If you ping your car to me, Haltech, I don't lock your tune. It's on you. If you want to go in there and manipulate things, I can check it. Or if you want to share it or whatever, I don't lock your tune. That's your stuff. Don't really care about if you want to show somebody the tune because I know what I did to get you there. And even if you reset, there's, for example, your cast. Biggest thing guys do with links, they don't time their engine to their computer. So the engine's saying 20 degrees, but the computer's reading 28. So it's never on. So if a guy takes my tune and then puts it on his SR and his cast is locked this way, now he's at 32 and the computer's at 25 or whatever. So you want to blow your engine up? Yeah. Good, cool, dude. Like people don't understand. Like you can have 80 Skylines in a row and they're all different lives. And but getting off subject a little bit. But Top Secret had there was 3 guys that got tunes there and they pulled them all out and he was like, oh, our tunes are all alike. I'm like, well, you guys got 440cc injectors with maps. What is he gonna do? He gonna tune for 35 maps? You don't have 35 maps. So they were talking shit about it. I'm like, dude, you guys don't tune, man. So you're you're gonna have the same tunes because you got the same engines. But if you look at like your timing, your settings, they're different. So I was like pointing out things to them because they were. I don't know the guy, but they were just kind of really talking like crazy towards him. And as a business guy, I kind of know what happens and stuff. But I was also telling them too, yeah, you all guys all paid the same. You basically paid a lot of money for a bass tune, and they didn't like that when I told them that. So, yeah,
nope,
yeah, man. So,
but you can't say anything, so it's best to say nothing.
And that's what I learned to do, man. I just kind of grin, and I don't. I had a barbecue the other day, and guys were just talking all types of. I was just listening. And I'm like, there's all wrong what they're saying, dude. But I just shocked that I didn't say nothing. I just smiled and was like, hey, you want some steak, man? I didn't say nothing about what they were talking about.
You barbecue at the shop or at home?
At the shop. I had a tournament last week, Gran Turismo, like a live hoon.
Oh yeah.
So a bunch of new guys, and I could tell when I shook their hand and greeted them, they were like, oh, he's fucking nice. I heard he was a dick. I heard he was mean. Like, nah, to your buddy I was, man, not you. So yeah, dude. So yeah, I was like, hey man.
Maybe your buddy did something dumb, but
Yeah, but I shook their when they came to the shop. I was like, hey man, thanks for coming. Shook their hand. Want to check out the game, want to get food, and I went on to the next guest. And I could see in their face they were expecting like they heard that I'm very abrasive, which I am, because I'm like, hey man, bullshit what you're saying. It's not gonna go that way. And then it gets around town, and they're like, oh man, he's hard to work with. And I'm like, well, this guy with this fucking 600 horsepower GTR, he had fun with me. So it's like, what else? I don't get it, man. So whatever, dude.
It's just I think a lot of it's just cultural as well, because the culture between.
Oh yeah.
For example, like as an English guy, if I see Americans when they're in restaurants and stuff, and you guys like. You say, like the English are polite, so you guys order things, and there's no like please or thank you. You're just like, I want this.
Yeah.
And the person goes, okay, but like here, it's like if you didn't say please, someone's gonna get pissed, you know. So like, it's just cultural, because like I think a lot of things that you do will be very American, and like that it doesn't always like translate.
Oh yeah, it does.
Well,
And even between the thing about it, like that's weird how like over there is seen like it's kind of uniform, and in America it's not. Like it's the people from like the more southern states and like actually East Coast where I'm from, the states like East Coast is really fast, and New York is they say is like really rude. They're really high paced. Get out my way. You're bothering me type stuff. And then you go to Baltimore is kind of like a mixture between New York, where I'm from, New York and the South, and then you go down south and everything is real slow and chill. Like you want some catfish, you want some ice cream, like
New York was nuts.
Yeah, dude.
Like that place is. I went to.
It makes you feel like anxiety.
Yeah, because like I grew up in cities where like I know what a crackhead looks like. I know what a drug dealer looks like. And I know when someone's like up to no good, you just recognize like that, like someone who's just moving kind of funny, you know what I mean? Right. So like when I was in New York, like I'm going around and like, I'm just like, that guy's doing something sketchy. This guy's like looking at like checking my bag out, or like, I'm trying not to look like a tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I can just see it because like I'm from that environment, so it's like, oh, this sucks.
That's good street smart.
And then we went to I don't know, it was smart or just like I don't know, just because like when I was young and skateboarding, like I grew up in Liverpool, and like we got chased by crackheads and people trying to rob us and things like that. So you're just kind of always looking out for
Question though, so how was again? How you're on time, man? Are you good on time, or how's it?
Yeah, okay. for a minute. Yeah, I need to do. Okay. It's been a while, man. Like we've been talking.
About 3 hours, man. So how was when you first went to Roppongi or Shinjuku for the first time? How was your interaction with the
right? Okay, so like the very first time, because it was so long ago, it was very different. Because it was like, oh look, a white guy. So the reaction was very different, and people wouldn't approach you. The last time I was in Japan, which was just before the pandemic, there's a lot of like guys who are, let's say, how would I sort of say it? The people who want you to come in their bar, and that's what I
was gonna say.
They're a bit too demanding. Yeah. They're a bit like, oh, come in this bar, or you want to buy these clothes? I'll take you to this special store.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask you. Those guys.
Yeah. So like, that's really like, it's the same as every other city in the world now, where there's dudes who are just like trying to take advantage of the foreigners, and obviously like, because I'm just like a average looking white guy, and I'm there like just doing normal stuff with camera and all that kind of thing. They'd come up like, oh, here's another like victim. Because I guess maybe I look like a victim. I don't know.
I think there's more foreign countries, man. Because like in America, like I've been all around America, man. Like even in DC, there's not a Nigerian dude working for Yakuza in DC saying let's go to the club. Nobody, they just acknowledge that you're a foreigner because you're there to see the National Monument or some crap like that, a White House, but nobody comes up to you and like solicits to go to the club. And I think I've seen like
Yeah.
in Greece, for example, Athens or the Colosseum, where the dudes would dress up like gladiators and stuff like that, and they're like, you know, muscly and ripped, and they were like kind of like, you know, they're, you know, I've heard stories that they, you know, kind of get really touchy with dudes' girlfriends and because they're bigger dudes, and they're like, oh, come over here and take a picture, because they take the picture as a gladiator. It's like, it seemed like it's more in a I don't say foreign, but it seemed like it's more like outside of America, tourist places that have places where the locals know that tourists come there and they kind of feed on it and prey on it. And my thing is, when I went to Roppongi for the first time, like after about 30 minutes of walking, I was actually fucking really agitated because they kept bothering me, dude. Like the Nigerian dudes say, yeah, come over here, and I got mad at one guy. My guy was like, hey, they work for Yakuza, dude, relax, because I was like telling dude to get the fuck away from me, dude.
Yeah, but Yakuza don't want problems.
Especially with Americans. Yeah.
So you can be pretty forceful.
Yeah, but
those guys have to not cause a problem.
Yeah, but he was just letting me know like,
don't push it, because some of those dudes will just smack you in the face. Like,
and I mean that's what I'm saying. It would have been for them. I was already training back then, and you know, way bigger than them. So I was like, dude, I don't want to. I was like, dude, we were down there for Tokyo Auto Salon 2009. I went to Auto Salon, had press passes and all that stuff. So we went to Roppongi, and they've been there a bunch. So they were walking behind me and kept laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at? Because they knew it was like, all right, yeah, we want to mess with you, but just keep walking. If you talk to them, they think they got you, and then they'll just keep trying to sink their hooks in. So they're like, dude, just keep walking past, and they'll go to the next guy and everything. So yeah, that was
just like for me, like I just found that like replying and never respond in English, just speak Japanese.
yeah.
Like just speak Japanese and just be really like, you know, like that kind of like more rough style of talking.
Yeah.
So like say, you know, eat nayo, like not, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like
away,
Japanese without the Japanese inflections and everything.
Yeah, just nayo mai. Nani ga ten da.
Yeah, exactly. We say like there's like 90. It's like just say nani with the American like nani. Like where you say like that's kind of Japanese sounding, man. I don't know how to speak Japanese like an American, but it's all crazy and everything. But yeah, man, it's still, I enjoy it here. I've been here almost 15 years now, and I'm definitely not I'm not leaving, man. So
no, I sometimes I wonder whether I should have or could have stayed. But I think the interaction I've had with Japan and the things I've done since, like if I hadn't left Japan, I don't think I would have dragged my buddies back there to make like the Outsiders movie.
Right.
And that was
the Driftworks guys, or the
yeah with Driftworks, and that's like I think that's like 6 million views now, which is insane. But the influence of that, like so many people I meet are just like oh my god, like that stuff is crazy, like I can't believe that happened, I want to go to Japan. Like the stuff we must have done for Japanese tourism, like Japan definitely owes at least it owes me some money.
that between that video, because I watched it a couple of times, the between your video and then also at the time it was a point where Matsuri was really like in his, it was just like the G1 GP was kicking off, and Australians and New Zealanders were just filling it up and all that stuff. And I even talked to Andy, and I was like, and Andy was, was pretty wise. He was like, I was like, dude, like, so I'm like, with this traffic, man, you're set for fucking life. He's like, mate, I don't think this is sustainable. And sure enough, it actually, it started to die down before the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, it just killed it. So luckily, they didn't put all their eggs in the basket of Matsuri, and they had other stuff going on, because if they did, they would have, guys weren't coming in buying cars like that and stuff like that. So it is cool. I mean, that's
Andy's been going so long though, because I remember Andy from like 2000 and like 2000, I think, like over here, because he was originally affiliated to a guy that I don't know whether he wasn't in our team, because the oldest team over here is Team Night Spirit, and one of the members of our old team ended up he had a business with Andy like super early, like early on back in the day, and then Andy like moved to Japan, like must have been 2003 or 4. Like he moved out there super early, so
yeah, he was one of the
wild,
one of the OGs, man. But the that was actually an option, man. When I was getting out of the well, not an option. He didn't extend it. I was going to ask him, but my plan when I got out of the military, I was going to like try to work for a workshop or something like that. And Andy, I spent a lot of time there, so I kind of mentioned it, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you know, if things line up," because I was still military. And I was going to get with him, but it was one of those things where the guys who look from the outside in, they see like, oh, you're working at a BC, like those fucking dudes work hard, man. Like it ain't no walk in the park.
Oh, the guys that work for Andy. Yeah.
They earn.
I know a few guys that work for him, and they push.
Yeah. There's no
so.
walk in the park, and it's like I work that hard for me, but it's on my accord and for my business. And it's like after I talked to actually one of the guys that left there, no names or whatever, but he was like, "Yeah, mate, don't do it." He was like, "Don't." It seems you know, and it's it's just Andy run his business how I want to run it, but it's just and on this thing, I'm pretty sure Andy explains to the people that, hey man, you'll have track time. You got a car here. We'll set you up in a little apartment, but you got
it is not a holiday.
You gotta work, yeah. You gotta work. So you'll see, Manami.
And you gotta work damn hard.
You'll see it. And man. So it's So it's this.
Speaking of Abisu, though, we should probably just give a shout out to old Milky Diamonds, Malike. He's because he's just moved up to Abisu. No, Milky Diamonds.
No, who is it? What's his?
Oh man, he's a black kid that moved to Japan to go drifting. Oh, he's hilarious, dude. You should have him on here.
Yeah, I know.
He's hilarious. He's such a cool dude. But he's like a roadman in Japan, you know. So roadman's like London, kind of like, I don't know, like a youth from the streets or whatever. But he literally moved his entire life to Japan, and he's just quit his job in he was living in Tokyo. Utsunomiya, was it? He was living in. He quit his job there, and now he's gone full time doing YouTube and just drifting at Abisu. So
okay,
he's I can't believe you haven't met him. I'm sure we spoke about him before.
Nah, man. Like I don't lie about who I don't know, man. He hasn't reached.
You'll like him.
He hasn't reached out to me, and I
really
haven't
like
seen
him.
any. That's the right there, man. That's the premise of everything, man. Is like you know, I don't assume everybody knows me. And yeah, man. There's so many people out there, man, and you know, just waiting to meet. Like I see, Tapiwa, man. Like just talking to him, and you know, he's doing his thing, and
oh, he's a cool kid as well, yeah.
And then just giving him like he's young, so like the little group thing, I talked off the chat and everything, and it was he's I was like, you can still do the Naoki thing, man, but you got to start developing your own
yourself,
man.
Yeah, you've been big on that, yeah.
So we talk. He's good, man. He's very advanced for his age, but you can tell he's still, you know, he's young, man. So it's all good.
He's new to the driving, but his perception is really remarkable.
Yeah, once they like, there's going to be a time when it's gonna come together, man. I just can't wait to see like the driving, and then the mindset, and then like the everything else come together, and then he'll be able to actually on the point, you know, kind of.
He'll be good. Yeah. He'll be good because he's nuts, but it's whether he gets the opportunity. Yeah. So when I can, I've helped him out a few times so he can go and do events and like buy himself some tires and things like that. So like, I don't know, anyone watching, like, you should go help him out.
Yeah. So
Nakamura Technique Study on Instagram. So go find him. Tapiwa he's a real good kid and deserves help. And I'm gonna hook you up with Milky.
Yeah,
he's so
sure,
funny.
Man. I'm done.
His story of coming to Japan. So I did a podcast with him for my YouTube channel, and the files got corrupted. I swear that the two of us, we just spent 2 hours crying, laughing at each other's stories. Like, it was the funniest thing ever. So
yeah, man.
yeah, you definitely need to get him on.
Yeah, man.
Definitely
that'll be cool, man. You know, meet another contact and everything, and all. You know, the people like to put this misnomer and you know, the whole black and all that stuff like that, man. And there's like a bunch of like a handful of like black drifter groups, and I was a part of them, and then I quickly left them. And they're like, oh man, you don't want to be one of us. I'm like, nah, dude, because you guys kind of mindset is different. You don't have the mindset to succeed.
See, but over there, you're not like black and white and whatever you're from just becomes gaijin.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
just the gaijin
100%.
group there.
It doesn't. That's why. That's why it doesn't. You know, it doesn't. You know, and it'll might, and like you said, like you said before, man, looking at things on both sides, and I do that. It's like I'm running. I do my thing. I kind of roll by to be my own drum and everything, but I do recognize perception is definitely a thing when you're running a business. And let's say like that. Let's say like there's some shit said in a black drift only group and that leaks out, and then like I got my customers are fucking white, Puerto Rican, and everything. They're all racist and everything, and it'll assume that like I'm all about this, keeping it there. And if there's a fucking secret group out there to say a white dude's drift and it got out, and there actually is a group like that, I'm like,
that'd be weird.
It's like, okay,
that'd be weird.
We already know that. Look at FD. There's not any black dudes in the. You know, there's one guy that should be there, Mike Pollard. You know, but he's don't want to do that, and I want to do my thing, but I'm not doing it to be the first this and this, because I'm doing it for me. Like you said, I'm doing this for me, and the results will be what the results are going to be.
I think like the coolest thing about drifting for me is the only color that matters is the one you paint your car.
Yeah.
Because when the car is moving, it doesn't matter whether like if you got a dick and balls, you've got like boot. It doesn't matter. Like you go to Mayhan and Miki Ryuji. Mickey. Miki Tagaki is gonna kick your ass.
And then she get out the car.
Like that's how it works.
She's like this little skinny girl.
Yeah, just tiny little. But it doesn't matter when you're in the car.
Because it don't take that much power to press a throttle and spin a wheel. Or maybe the G forces, but yeah, man, that's.
I've been watching Sakaya. You know Sakaya's YouTube.
I don't.
She's it's that's worth watching as well, because what she does is kind of like her YouTube videos are much more behind the scenes, and it's really quite informative of how their program runs. And she's a very talented driver as well. So.
Under Miki, or is it? Because I have seen a bunch of what the Sumika was doing this thing with the. I think it was a reality show with Nakamura, and they were teaching these like celebrities how to drift or something like that. It was something that.
Oh yeah, no, that was the DGB project or something. Drift project something. Yeah, Sakaya is just like, she was D1 Street Legal, and she's just like, her YouTube's been going a while. So she, like, after 5 years, she's now in D1.
Okay.
Like actual D1.
Okay.
So I think she's had a lot of difficulty with the program this year, but it's like really interesting to watch, because it's nice to see behind the scenes of someone who isn't just winning everything, you know, like, to see the actual struggle on the way up, because it makes you feel much more connected to the successes that she has.
And like I said, man, it's been authentic and not there's been many times I talk to guys out there, and they'll be recording, and then like they don't have that Cinderella finish, and then they'll just scrap the video because it didn't. But I'm like, dude, post that video, because there's thousands of other dudes out there who had the same experience you had that same weekend, and the fact that the only difference is you have a YouTube channel, they don't care to do it, and if you want to get that type of that could be your 30K, 40K, 50K, one of those videos that really pops for you. So,
well, success means nothing without failure.
Because a lot of guys out there, they try to pretend like everything is a fucking win. I'm like, dude, that's not real life, man. That's not even Hollywood movies fail.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think I said something recently, which was, you have to embrace your success and your failures equally. And I think that's all you can do, is just accept the circumstance, and you either learn and move on for it or you get stuck. So, which leaves you really only one option, which is learn and move on.
Yeah.
So, I think whether you suck and you crash or you do amazing and do the sickest entry anyone's ever seen, like both are as valid as each other.
It's not for me. I totally do. I it's kind of two-part, man. This will be my last thing, man. When I don't like watching fights with people. Like I don't like. I watch UFC or whatever by myself because you get the dudes like, I would do this, I would do that, and I'm like, and I'm thinking in my mind like, no, you wouldn't, man. I could hold you down. I can hold you down, right? And I'm bigger, but there's dudes that train and they're smaller than you. And they can hold you down just by body position. They'll know how to hold you on the ground. It's like you wouldn't do nothing. And like and then with driving, when I watch FD, man, like, you know, obviously I see guys coming up shallow like that. Actually, that course fucking sucked, dude. And I told that outer clip, that was the worst.
Which one? I'm lost.
They did Nishi course. And Ibisu.
Oh, yeah.
Bro,
with the weird clips.
Dude, that was so like, even my students like, dude, that was, everybody the dudes who were good struggled. The guys who weren't as good definitely struggled. That outer, there's no inner clips. There was all outers, and that it
was a very odd line.
They changed it. I'm like, the 2 years prior was, you know, the outer, inner, you know, that whole thing. I'm like, bro, that whole thing sucked because you had to go essentially off the track, back on the track, and then like it was weird. You're like going to the back of the car, it's going like this, and that so that track sucked, man. And everybody I was in the comments and he was like, oh, this guy sucks, and like the guy you just said sucks horribly is actually the dude who won the championship last year. And I'm like, no, it just the circumstances and the event changed and the clipping, and they wanted to get to the point. They are pro level drivers, but what their judges are asking them to do is really difficult, and that doesn't really.
Do you think there's a point at which the judges are making things so difficult that it makes their job easy?
So it's easy to judge. It's like clearly that guy's not doesn't get it, so they already know by the time and I experienced it too. They already know by the time when first time I got hit with roulette by mistake. They're watching practice, and I watched Kumakubo before, and they kind of like make little notes, and so they already know who to look out for. Number 25, number 28, number 35. They've been nailing it all day, and then the other guys, we'll look at it, but I think they're making it extremely hard at some points to maybe I get Robbie Nishida on and talk about that if he can divulge, but it's like almost they're making too much stuff. The course itself, and then like, hey, I want you to be on here. Can't be on the brakes here. You can't left.
It's very formulaic.
Yeah.
I think my take on it is judging is a job that sucks, right? We all know that. If anyone who's judged a drift event knows that it sucks. Yeah, like when you do a great job, nobody cares, and when you make a mistake, just everybody hates you. So it's just the worst job to do. So from my perspective, when you make courses that difficult, it makes them easy to judge and makes the drivers look bad, even if they're a good driver. I mean, that was like a prime example of that. So I think courses, for me, if you're doing competitive drifting that's being live streamed, I think one thing that D1 did very well that was sort of like has been fought against is they laid out courses that made the drivers look good. They had natural lines that made sense. They didn't force you to be on these crazy, like, you know, outside left foot brake, you know, like Irwindale up on the bank, you know, like stay up on the bank as high as you can, left foot brake, blah, blah, blah. Like in that circumstance, it worked at Irwindale because there's a wall there, so it makes sense and looks exciting. So it's the most exciting result from that venue, but it doesn't apply to all venues.
Right.
It's not like a blanket coverage of, you know, what drifting should be. So I think there's definitely some like that corner. I think that the line that they envisaged was they wanted it to be one large radius and then another large radius. But I think it's a combination of the drivers there not being used to driving in that way at all, because that's more of a Formula D style of driving, like the whole kind of wise fab sort of low Ackerman, that type of setting. So it's a combination of that setting and just like a line that was so alien to the drivers there that it became too much to be able to set the car up and to actually perform the line within the same day or a 2-day period.
Yeah, it was definitely
that's
because I mean the thing is I've seen everybody. I don't know all of them, but I've seen all those cars before. This cool thing about the color code, the color combination is like, all right, that's the the orange S13 or whatever. So I've seen all those cars drift, and I've seen all those people kill it. I know everybody there can drift. Like they wouldn't be at that point, even at Pro 2, if they couldn't slide.
100%.
So that.
I mean, look at Mad Mike. Look at what happened to Mad Mike. When does that happen to Mad Mike? He's a crazy, like insane driver.
Yeah. So I seen it was like Sunaga kind of. I watched the video, I think, and it was like I think Sunaga kind of made a little slip up and it forced Mike to do some stuff and everything. So the one I did see. But the man, it's like, come on, dude. We all fucking see what Mag Mike does and all these guys do, and then Sunaga did do better than most because he's got a million laps there. It's like he can, and he's the OG. He knows how to do the
every line,
how to fly, and that's the biggest thing. Where I was talking to Matt, I was like, one thing you gotta learn here, man, is this a thing called. And I had to learn it when in Manami to fly. I was like, fly, and he was like, you gotta fly. I'm like, fuck you mean fly? He's like, you gotta fly from this point to that point, mate. And then after he showed, I was like, oh, so you hit the brakes and you fucking slide all the way out there, and then you continue on. Because I was when Manami, I thought I was killing it, and he was like, dude, you're just drifting the inside all the way. You're 10 miles away from the clipping point you need to be at. He's like, you have to fly from this apex all the way out to there. You got to fly out to the judging stand and then come back in and do all that stuff. And it was like, oh shit! It's like you just go really, really fast and then let your car slide out there. So the that zone, I think, and Sunaga did it. Like he got a lot of speed, and then he just let the car float all the way down there, and then like he kind of bring it in a little bit. But that even
sit in the right spot and then drive.
But even Sunaga being that good, man, it still was awkward. That layout sucked, dude. I'm sorry, man. I didn't like it. I guarantee you. I mean, I'm like, fuck. I'm getting like anxiety because I'm like, man, I know I can drift, but it will make me look shitty.
But if they do that layout for 3 years in a row, the thing is the drivers will get their cars set up for it, and they'll start making it look good. Yeah. So then they'll say, oh, well, it's a good line.
Because before they would go,
is it or isn't it?
Before the last, when I think Mike won it, Mike won the it was they would go, it was the run up was I think further back, and they would kind of manji almost. I think you were manji
because Alexi did a really good video of their practice for that. And I think it was maybe D1 was there, and he did a video of them practicing, and it was like, oh my god, like these guys are moving.
Because that's the one when Daigo went off the. He flipped the car.
Yeah, he went up the bank. Yeah.
It's like, dude. So that one they would go out and then they would go in and kind of use it. Then it was the clipping. It was nice. It flowed nice. That other one is just like out. It's like out. It's like no inner clips. It's like that is.
It's just peculiar.
It's weird, man. But hey, brother, I'm gonna get out of here, dude, because I gotta find these bolts, see if I can service this crankshaft.
Yeah, it's probably late there now.
Yeah, man. But it's all good, man. Like I said, we ain't talking 2 years on here, and
we got 2 years worth of talking done in one podcast.
About the same.
So I'll speak to you in another couple of years.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. Like you win another Lamborghini, I'll buy it from you, man.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah. It'd be cheaper just to buy one there.
Shit, nah.
Maybe I'll just raffle it again.
Man, a Corvette, a freaking Corvette is like $55K USD here, man. It's like, especially with the yen rate, it's bad, dude. Like, I benefit from it because I take yen, and also I do have USD, so it kind of works out because my customers get a discount naturally just by spending yen, and then when I get US from the States where I sell something online, I convert that to yen, so I'm getting. It's pretty good for me, man. The Japanese, man, it sucks, dude. Like, I'm selling that S14 for $2,800 US. But the yen that's Sanju Kumon.
Sanjuku, yeah.
So it's So 1-on-1, for guys don't know, that's 1-on-1. That's about $3,900. So they got to spend up to match the amount I want and everything. So it sucks, man.
Yeah, that's wild.
It sucks, man. For them, it sucks for them.
It's wild.
All right, brother. Again, man, thanks for your time and everything, and we'll definitely.
That's okay. It was good fun. It was nice having a bit of a chat about drifting.
Yeah, man, and then like to see that background. I haven't seen that background in a long time, man. And I know a lot of.
It's funny. It's the same but different because it's the same stuff in a different place.
Oh, yeah.
So,
you just moved.
Yeah, I found some really old stuff. So like, see the yellow video up there?
Yeah.
So that's have you ever seen a video called Beast from the East?
I haven't.
So it's made by. Do you remember Max Power magazine?
Oh yeah, I remember Max Power. Yeah.
So that video is from 1998.
Holy shit, man!
And so that's like one of the first kind of like
the VHS.
Weirdly enough, top secrets on it.
Yeah.
But you can find it on YouTube now. Just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But there's some drifting on that with like Top Secret, and then there's a tuning company called Eggman. Because it's like from 20 years ago, so it's all like the heyday stuff.
Yeah, the weird names and logos and
just crazy stuff. I've got so like that's Drift Tengoku Volume 5, and I have video option from what is it?
The VHS.
1993.
Yeah, them real.
VHS.
Man, you make me angry, man. I had 10 VHS tapes. Back when Daijiro, people know Daijiro. He was all on there and everything. Looking young. He had when he was going to the States a lot and all that stuff. Because people don't know Rito. Like Rito went to, Rito and Nomakin went over that same trip, and Rito was driving the stock car and Caught on Fire and all that stuff, man. So he was over there a bunch. God,
that was it. Yeah, because that was in that era.
That was Irwindale.
Yeah.
It was. That's crazy to be on those guys on Irwindale doing NASCAR, and then flash forward 2003 and they do the first inaugural D1 thing there 2002 2003, and they probably never thought they would drift on that track, and then no more kids there.
It was really interesting. Do you know Benson?
Yeah.
So it was really I don't know if you listened to his podcast, but it was really
interesting. He got a podcast.
Yeah, it's really good because he talks a lot about like the really early days of drifting. Yeah,
because he was one of the first winners, right? He was the Vincent. He was. Yeah. He was. Yeah, I remember because the Shock DVD and all those back when DVDs were. I made a few DVDs as well, but yeah, he was. I remember. Yeah, he won in because he's a California guy, I believe.
Benson's Cali.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, he was one of the first guys that I. Yeah, I remember him well, man. He was one of the first guys.
You'd enjoy his podcast. When you're working, just cool stories and like.
That's all I listen to, dude. Comedy, mostly comedy.
That Alex Pfeiffer one's really good because he's like.
Oh, you got Alex on.
He's got such a spicy temper.
Oh,
it's like,
Alex.
So when he's talking about stuff, like he's super nice, but like he's talking about all the times he got angry instead of just like relaxing.
Yeah. I try to get him on. I talked to him and he's like, yeah, not really. But they got a more history than I had Alex on the I asked him about DVD. This is way back 2000. This is Wall, New Jersey, the first ever FD event, and he had the RSR S2000. And I was like, back then I was just doing J turns, and I was a poser drifter back then. I never actually drifted before.
We're still poser drifters now, really.
Nah, we can link a track, man. It's you, but
I think if you're drifting and there's people there, you're a poser.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was asking. I was like, man, oh man, RSR must pay. He's like, dude, no. He was like pretty much like he was like, nah, dude, you can't just do a figure eight and say you want to do sponsors. That was like the first. He was like, nah, it don't work that way. You got to pay. You still pay for this and you pay for that. You just get a little discount here and there.
He talks about all of that on that podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. And
I'll check it out.
Do you know the Goodest cast? Have you listened to that one? That's all like the animal style guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. I had one of the former animal style guys on. He did mention that, and I forgot to look it up. I'll check it out. But yeah, man, it's good stuff out there, man. And that's why, like I said, I do these because, like you mentioned, kind of going back to the beginning, before we get out of here, you was saying like the reason why you do stuff, and one thing that hit me, I was like, man, I stopped making videos for like 2 years. I just was like, I was over it, and I was like, I got kids now, and the cool thing, I live in a moment, and I'm healthy and stuff like that, but we don't know what's going to happen, and I don't want to get dark and morbid, but it's like if something happens to me. Do I have over 400 plus videos of me online talking to you, talking to other people, and my sons will be able to look at videos of me and doing stuff and things like that. And I think
they'll know what kind of guy their dad was.
And so that's why I do this. And if 30 people watch this thing, man, whatever, dude. It served the point because we got to talk to each other. So that's all that matters. They just get to listen to it back. So I'm not, for me, I don't get involved in that stuff, and it doesn't make my life. If I get 1 million views on this, my life's gonna be the same tomorrow, man. I'm still gonna have the final crankshaft for this RB26 in like 24 hours.
You might get some of that YouTube money though, eh?
I got $300 last month, man. I spent it on I bought some diapers and stuff, man. So.
So here you go. Yeah. Here's a fun fact. So all of the videos that we made for YouTube. So obviously we invested, like as I said, we invested a lot of money and time. Yeah. So we made, including my t-shirt sales, I think we made $600 total up to now.
Yeah.
And $300 of that was t-shirts.
Yeah.
So yeah, YouTube made us $300.
Yeah.
And we invested probably $30,000, $35,000 in stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this microphone. Everyone knows about Shure microphones. Like these things aren't cheap.
Oh yeah. So, man, you see that on a lot of top podcasts, man. So yeah, that's why the audio is clear.
It's the Joe Rogan mics, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's why it's only been like since you, man. It's been like your video's good and the audio is good. So like most people got that sound like they're in a telephone booth because they're speaking on the. People don't. I let guys do it from their cell phones, tablets, whatever. So the audio is.
You should at least have earbuds and a mic.
Yeah. Well, they got. Really it doesn't. It's. Most of them I can't, they will never do the podcast if I like, hey man, you gotta have all this stuff, but they don't. I just have them to keep their which come away from the audio, and also the smartphones is cool. They have it's like they don't allow both functions at the same time, so it's like you listen and you speak. So then I just do a little denoising if they got like the little. Sometimes it'll be a little noise in there, but yeah, man, I already knew your audio was gonna be good and video's good and.
This was Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie told me what to buy.
Yeah.
I've got like another audio box thing there and signal booster and all this stuff.
Yes, yeah, it's crazy. Like it's pretty. I'm like off camera. I know you got some stuff going on over here. I got like, I got the mixers and the audio interface and it's the basics, but it's still probably I would say everything here to do this probably 12. Maybe 12, 13, but that's not high, man. About $1,200-$1,300.
It's significant.
Yeah.
I need to check because obviously now I'm using the camera on the laptop, so it's kind of like.
Nah.
It's like very light sensitive, As you.
But no, it's good. It's good because I can still, like I said, I could, a little post production. I can.
Make me look all handsome.
Adjust the saturation a little bit, make your beard red and everything. So it's like it's pretty cool, man. But hey, man, again, man, brother, this is like our fourth time trying to close this up, man. But again, Matt, thanks for your time, brother. I'll definitely be I'll stream the stuff like when the events come up and everything, and just watch it in the garage. So, and
cool, man.
Yeah, man. It was good timing too as well because I was man, those moments when something breaks or whatever, you're like, fuck, dude. It's like
you need to step away.
Yeah, dude, like as soon as it happened, you messaged me. I was like, as soon as I discovered it, you messaged and I was like, great, because I got issues. I got to do livery. I got to still do some paint. I still got to do tires. I had to do like testing. Like, and this is not with this.
And you're here like wasting 3-4 hours with me talking
It's
nonsense.
all good, man. I mean, I'm stuck in the water because I literally.
Good luck.
Yeah. So I mean, to even clean up the threads are manageable. They're not belong. I can still clean up the threads, but I gotta get new bolts. I gotta do a test torque and make sure everything is good to go. So, luckily the crankshaft is a really really hard piece of metal, but at the same time I'm kind of worried about being able to tap that and all that stuff. So yeah, man, it is.
I don't think you can helicoil a crankshaft.
No, definitely not. I wouldn't do that. No. Definitely don't want to do that. But no, it luckily is. Yeah, I can make it happen. But yeah, man, I'm not gonna spin my wheels and then waste money and time to not be able to make this event. And at this 12.5 hour drive went both ways. So that's over 20 hours.
That's a long way. Yeah,
and I'm not going on a half.
That's like us driving to Scotland. It's like I think it took us 8 hours, so basically non-stop driving.
Yeah, because from here I'm 8 hours from Tokyo where I sit, about 8.5 from.
Oh god, yeah, because you're super north. Aren't you?
Man, I make that drive.
Oh, wow,
I make that drive all the time, dude. Like I put on a couple podcasts, dude. Rogan podcast, 2 Rogan podcasts. I'm in Usanamiya, so it's like. Yeah, man. Just make it happen. But yeah, man. Again, it's this. Yeah, I'm not in for the guys that are watching, listening, all that stuff, man. Like push. Definitely don't quit. Not saying give up easy, make it happen, but I'm definitely gonna push to make this happen. But just gonna get to a point if I can't get the parts I need within the next 24 to 42 hours, the timeline is gonna be way off, and I can't even get a test at the track before I drive 12 hours down there for a car that doesn't work. That's a lot of gas and tolls, man.
Yeah, for that distance, like it's
nah.
You should take the NA car.
Hell no, man. Did you see that? You see the map is essentially it's like you're drifting and then you come to it's a figure 8. It's a big ass figure 8. You're drifting, you go down straight, you go a little out Manji, go down to another bigger straight. So this thing is. If you have less than 500 horsepower, like it's not gonna go well for you, man. It's like there's this wide sweeping.
Takumi Fujiwara do it.
Yeah, that video I just posted up the other day, drifting S14. Like I was top of third gear just to get it to fly out because that thing was gutless. And then I got used to the turbo, and I'm like, oh shit, clutch kick. It's got a clutch kick to get out of it and everything. So it's like you get the turbo, you get lazy and just. A little
and normally aspirated SR20 is the most reliable engine on the planet.
I told the guy there, I'm like, bro, you will not blow this unless you do something really stupid. I'm like, dude, I beat the shit out of this engine. The guy before me beat the shit out of it. The guy before him beat the shit out of it. And I'm like, dude, just put gas in it and go. Like, this is perfect.
The only time they blow up is when you turbo them.
Yeah,
that's it.
And
the rest of the time, you can just hammer them. I really want one with a 6-speed on it. It'd be amazing.
2 guys did just that. I turned them away. NA Spec S guy. I was like, no, I won't do it. And unless I do it this way, and I was like, dude, you're going to spend more money than just buying the turbo engine and converting. And the S14 guy, and both of them blew their engines up. I'm like, dude, it's the reason why, man. Like, you got to do pistons. This, and this, and all that money spent, you could have just bought the spec R engine, and been done with it. So
yeah, basically.
Or if you don't want it a little bit, just get the S14 engine, do a little bit of wiring and put it in there. It's just.
I think we're at a point as well where there's a lot of bad engines around.
Oh, yeah, they've been Nakamura blew them all up, man. Just put them on Yahoo. So it's like that's one thing about Nakamura too. Like they don't. People don't understand how many fucking engines and stuff this guy's blown because Japanese don't go online and document and cry about shit like Americans do. It's like, oh, I blew my engine up today. They just, all right, engine out, new one in.
And he has no, there's no, like, he's not held back in any way. Right. Like, he won't be like, this engine's not so good, so I'll be nice to it. He's like,
yeah, let's go.
I'm going to drive this as hard as I can. Yeah. And if it blows up, then
whatever.
It's, it's collateral damage.
Dude, that's the only way. It's such a. I know you've experienced it, man. Where you're like, it's the drifting. You get into such a zone where you just like, this is just carnage, dude. You don't care about what happens. You're just fucking pedal through the floor, and it's that feeling of like just not. You're killing it, driving well. The people are cheering, and you're just fucking throttle through the floor, man. And it's just like I do not care what happens to this engine. I'm just. It's that zone, man, and it's a great feeling.
Only the result matters.
Yeah. We'll end on that. We'll end on that, man.
He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Only the result matters. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to. I want to. A lot of people like we put up on the last podcast because they just don't understand the whole, the Pinku style stuff. And I'm like, dude, we don't have no issues, man. And I talked to Shane, and if there was Shane was like, yeah, it would have been right away. And, I talked to, she's like, dude, he's never said anything like bad about you or whatever. And they just, I've seen him and we, say hi to each other.
It's not.
I just want to.
I don't even. I think you don't need to worry about it. It's not even part of the conversation.
No, yeah, it's not.
You know what I mean?
That was what the Americans were emailing me like, hey man, how about you change your name because you're copying Al Savior. I'm like, what? Like that's. I mean, it's kind of cool that he's a Japanese guy, I'm American. You just kind of like, fuck me, man.
There's a million places with the dead same name.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like BD
doesn't matter.
Like BDC, man. BDC is like a kind of porn, man. Is BBC or what they call it?
That's BBC.
BBC.
Not BDC. Although the BBC is also a thing.
Yeah. But you got it.
I pretty much not a week goes by where I don't see the BBC.
Yeah. Is it true that you guys got to pay a yearly subscription for that?
We pay a TV license,
even if you don't.
Which is basically it's basically being extorted out of money for a TV service that
you don't use.
We may or may not watch.
And
so technically, it only applies to live broadcast television.
NHK
we don't watch.
NHK is, I heard, like I never had them show, but I guess it's a thing that I've heard the Japanese NHK charges like a feed to consume NHK. Like I never watched.
We just don't watch NHK then.
Yeah. So yeah.
The trouble is NHK is on every channel.
Yeah.
So it's
my wife does. She watches it, everything. So they got all this stuff. But yeah, I'm like, dude, I've been here 15 years. I probably consumed maybe 10 minutes of NHK. Like trust me, I haven't sat down and watched none of that stuff. But
no, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Those weird shows where they just sit around discussing.
Yeah.
Looking at food and going, ooh, food.
Dude, she like really hates when I eat something that's good and I just get like a little eyebrow raise and that's it. She expects me to be like, oh, she and do a backflip and no, dude, it's good. It's either good or it's nasty.
It's good. It's all right.
Yeah. That's pretty much how we do it. Like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean it's okay? I'm like, it's cool. If it's nasty, I will seriously spit it out or not eat it at all if it looks weird. But she expects me to be like,
oh man,
like, nah, dude, it's cool, dude. But, hey, brother, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm gonna get out of here and see if I can make some phone calls, get this thing done. And again, guys, this is this is what we do on the podcast and everything. I was planning to keep it at 1:40, but I'm not gonna cut it. I'm not gonna cut a good conversation and everything and it's good. So if you got a long drive, this is the perfect one if you got there. So, man, just be sure to check out the other podcasts. They're down in chronological order, so you can watch them in any order. I would say the last 50 or 40, I've been on the same format here. Editing has been kind of systematic since then. So was trying things, but my system is pretty good now. Check those out. The other ones had audio issues too. The newer ones are really crisp, nice sounding audio, so it's really good. Man, if you like what I do, to subscribe, but I'm not going to bug you and that stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's going to be Danny signing off from South Japan. And it's going to be my guy Matt here signing off from somewhere in the Middle East. No, he's over there. So he's man. No,
in the where?
I said Middle East.
Middle England. Middle East.
I was like, well, it's kind of like it. Yeah, some guys like one guy, he didn't want me to say exactly where it was. He was a German dude, but it's like, yeah, man. He's definitely.
Where did he get you? Yeah, I'm in France.
Yeah, he's in France. Yeah, he's in France. He's in Russia with the dude who ratted out America and stuff like that. So.
Definitely not there.
Yeah. But hey, man.
Anywho.
Yeah, man. Thanks, brother. See you.
Thank you very much.
See you later, man. All right, guys. It's gonna be Danny signing up from South Japan. See you guys later. Peace.